Hello Commanders, Commander Placer here, and welcome to today's live stream. Hope everyone's doing very well, and yes, we are excited about the announcement of Elite Dangerous Odyssey for many different reasons, and we're going to have quite a lot to talk about today. So, as usual, I'm going to be joined by several different members of the community. Alec Turner, Burr and Reenie from the Burr Pit, Chig from Loose Screws, Down to Astronomy, Kaizen, and from Elite Week, and then we've got Witherspoon from Galnet Digest. So, plenty of people to hopefully have a good old chat and kind of break down what we've seen already, and then kind of go into a bit more detail about what we think it's going to look like, what's going to happen, and kind of first impressions. Because at the moment, details are pretty scarce, but what we do have is plenty of opinions and excitement, but it's obviously very important for us to temper our hype and not go over the top at all. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit croaky. Medicine's kicked in. Love it. It's working. It's the important bit. But how is everyone else today? Everyone doing alright? I see quite a few of you in here already, which is lovely. So I've got Don, Maskime, Harry Chris, I was at Omega 88, WeJet. Gonna keep scrolling. Bandy Bushido, Ulus. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Spatula, Cardum, Cospokos, Jace, Chaining Ranger, or Chain in Granger, who knows? David Sharple, Delta V, Jeffrey Montegrifo, Vortex, Mission, Commander Digital, Keith, J26, S&T, Commander Spillcapes, Single Malt Scotty, having a tipple, Takuso, Johnny Cormac, Neil, Ryan, D Dexter. How are you guys all doing? So many people. Lovely to see you. Now I'm going to assume we are going to jump in because everyone should be nice and ready for us to begin the discussion and get ourselves involved. Well, almost. Just so you know what I'm doing in the background, I'm going to be running submissions for the Dark Wheel, which is a minor faction over here in LFT 926, which is all part of the Turning the Wheel kind of community incentive driven by the community, where we're kind of very much talking about what we can do to try and find Raxler. That's the aim of the game for this one. We're trying to get there. Eblis. You finally told me how to say it, because I've been saying Iblis and it's Eblis. Eblis. Cool. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. We're going to be poking around, doing some stuff and some things. Very much stuff and things, and then some things and some stuff. So I'm going to be running missions whilst we're chatting away. I'm going to do my damnedest best to not listen to people's questions when they ask them, but no guarantees. I never have guarantees, especially after last time. Well, I literally went, sorry, I totally zoned out. Bit rude. But there you go. Aztec, was the LFT 96? Wait, what? So an LFT 926. That's what we're doing. Evolution, it could be your side, I think, because I'm having a look at my own audio levels and they are normal. So you might have to pump me up a little bit. Mission Archer, yep, basically, there is a Discord for you to join. Best thing to do is find the forum post for it, which I can't find it right now, but I'm sure a mod will find it for me, because they're brilliant. They'll find it and they'll drop it in. And basically, it's joining Discord, and it's essentially running missions and supporting the faction, the Dark Wheel, from LFT 926. That's kind of what we're doing on that one. So yeah, got to keep the wheel turning. That's the idea, even if the wheel is dark. Slightly dark. Right, I'm going to jump in and join the rest of the guys, and we're going to obviously have a chat, and we'll go from there.
Still doing their intros, so we'll join back here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody!
Hello.
Hello. I think, is that all of us? That's all of us.
Welcome to the hello stream.
We're still waiting.
Where we will be saying hello for 2 hours. Quality content.
Positive quality content. That's what it's all about.
Chatbox is working. Why is the other thing not working? OBS just doesn't like me today. For reasons best known to itself.
Oh, it's met you, hasn't it?
Yeah, clear. Well, that's good.
That's
where we are, is it? Let me just write that down. Okay.
Your name is going on the list.
Here we go. I said I wasn't going to do this show again if you, Alec Turner, and Kai were here.
But yet here you are.
Wow.
Yeah, here I am.
All right, I was literally just fighting with OBS as well, but it seems
you as well, huh? Yeah.
It seems to be okay now, so I'm good to go. Is everybody ready?
Yep.
All
ready.
right.
My chat's ready.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone to the Superfriendos Roundtable. Today is Saturday, the 6th? Yeah.
6th.
And we are here today to discuss Elite Dangerous Odyssey, or as I'm calling it, EDO. So today we have in attendance myself, Kaizen from Elite Week. We have Alec Turner from the Buckyball Racers. Say hello, Alec.
Hello, Al.
We've got Burren Reaney from the Burr Pit. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
All right. We've got...
Not funny anymore, is it?
No, it wasn't in the first place.
Reaney's being quite sensible and just shaking her head at you. We've also got Commander Chig from Loose Screws Podcast. Say hello, Chig.
Good morning, everybody. Afternoon.
Hello there.
Right on. We've got Down to Earth Astronomy. Say hello.
Hello.
Right on. And
everybody.
We have and we have Plater.
Hi.
Commander Plater.
Hello.
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 And Plater's awake this time.
Yes, at the moment.
At the moment. Okay. No promises.
No.
Also, I'm making an executive decision, and for the remainder of this stream, we will all have to refer to him as Plater Damas. And we have Commander Wotherspoon of Galnet News Digest fame. Say hello.
Greetings, commanders.
So we're all here to talk about, Odyssey. What happened? How it dropped, and the whole 9 yards. How about we let Down to Earth Astronomy start us off on the agenda, and we'll work our way through it. Let's start.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just quickly doing some live rebalancing of audio levels here. No, I don't know if we're going to run through the whole agenda, but I thought it would be a good idea to start just going over, in case someone has been living under a rock for the last couple of days. I thought it could be a good idea just to go over what actually happened. And I correct now, I already forgot which day it was. Wednesday, I believe. Right, when the video was announced and then not announced and then announced again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was, at least it seems to me that what happened was Frontier was uploading a video, which they of course will do in advance, and it was added to a playlist and then set unlisted. Someone could then go in through that playlist and find the video, and then it was accidentally released. I at least think that's what happened. I don't know what your guys' take on it is, but it seems to me that was an accidental release.
We've had bots pick up our videos unlisted before. But...
Okay. I don't think it's a bot this time, though. I think it's because they added it to a playlist.
Right,
it might be.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Is that your way of saying you were hawking their playlists?
No, I mean, I've had it happen. I mean, I've done it myself, where I've wanted to launch a video and I just, beforehand added it to a playlist. People go into the playlist and find the video beforehand, before it's actually published, because it's just unlisted, it's not private. And of course, when people see something like that, the link gets spread, and then that's probably why they end up pulling the video completely.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It doesn't really matter. It got published. It was an accident. That's where we are now.
I think the sort of the main takeaway that I take from this is something that Venteon said on Hutton this week. There are mistakes that cause like serious problems. There are mistakes that are sort of, they have ramification where it's like, oh, we didn't do this and this screwed over a good chunk of our player base. Those are mistakes that are worthy of sort of criticizing and jumping in and trying to whatever. And then there are other happy little mistakes where it's like, well, that's weird timing, but I'm glad I know. And I feel like this definitely falls under that category.
Oh, yeah.
And for those mistakes, it's one of those that's like, obviously something happened weird there. I don't think we'll ever get the full story, and it doesn't really matter.
Sure. No. Yeah. I wonder how early it was, though. I'd be curious to know.
I don't think it was terribly early. They wouldn't have uploaded it weeks and weeks in advance. This is probably something they were planning to announce very close to Fleet Carrier release to give us something to look forward to once Fleet Carriers come out.
I'm pretty sure we've been after the Fleet Carrier hype has died down a bit.
Yeah, it was said. I think I remember Will saying that we would get details after the release of Fleet Carriers. I'm pretty sure it was then, but I think they may have pulled it forward rather than it be accidentally done a month in advance, or even a week even at this point. It was interesting to see though, but there is what's happened previously with the last Fleet Carrier. The initial teaser that came out that was leaked early. That was due to it being on another news website where they'd given them the link early and they'd sent their, so they could get everything written up and have it ready to go, and they said it'd go early. So
is that what that was?
Yeah, so it was that was the Gamescom reveal. It was then. It was, that, and that's kind of what happened. I don't know which publication it was. Whichever one was out there first, I guess. But yeah, that was that's what happened there. Very interesting though. It was like, oh no,
But with regard in this particular one, with regard to the fact that it came out a little bit, again, I come back to who is harmed by this. Nobody. But potentially Frontier is going to feel a little like, oh man, I wish we had this drop a week or two after Fleet Carriers or whatever, because it's just better for our timing rhythm. But
it does steal the thunder a bit, doesn't it?
It kippers the schedules a bit, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Don't you? Am I the only one? Personally, I think Wednesday was the planned day. I mean, it was only down for a few minutes, like 10 minutes, and then it was back up.
It was down for like 2 hours before they re-released.
Didn't feel that long. And also the tweets and the Facebook posts and the mail shots at everybody, that was done by lunchtime. Do you think they literally just decided to shove that stuff out where they hadn't previously?
They had it already. It was planned for soon. If not this week, then next. Yeah. My guess is that they would have probably done it on a Thursday before they did one of their live streams, so they could then answer questions afterwards. So it might have been for the Thursday they intended it.
I think. Yeah, it just seems odd to me that it went before Fleet Carriers had launched. That was all. It just it kind of steals the thunder of that a little bit. I think.
It was the day after Live Radio. It's when they always make big announcements.
I agree with you that they do it right after Live Radio on purpose, but I think it was supposed to go right after the next Live Radio. But looking at this, as far as the announcement points to some things, and let's look at what they mean. They clearly are saying one giant leap, and see the galaxy like never before. Touchdown on breathtaking planets powered by stunning new tech. Soak in the sun's rising over unforgettable vistas. Views for some people that are not familiar with that term. Discover outposts and settlements and explore with unrestricted freedom. So let's hop into this. Who wants to get into one giant leap and then that sort of very romantic, evocative explanation there?
There's a lot in this, I think. I've just those, like, what is it, 3 sentences, 2 sentences, something like that. It just raises so many questions. First of all, the whole new tech thing, I really want to know what's behind that. I mean, are we talking obviously the trailer looks great, but is that going to resemble what we're going to see in the game? And is this going to be something that's going to affect the walkie around thing only, or is this going to be a general graphic update to the whole game?
I mean, definitely, I think we can all agree what we're looking at when we see that planet, even as it's approaching from orbit, as they're approaching, that is I think, conservatively speaking, that is a massive graphical upgrade to planet rendering.
Yeah, for sure.
And it looks even better when you get down to the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that part of it, though, the part where you say it looks even better when you get down to the ground, it's with regard to the part where they're walking around, you could be forgiven for saying, well, that's sort of machinima, that's in engine, but it's, highly curated sort of cinematic trailer or whatever, that's fine. But the bits where you see the Cobra approaching orbit, and then B, the bits where you see the Cobra streaking across the screen, flying low, doing some Alec Turner-esque maneuvers, I think you would be very sort of sensible in assuming is going to be sort of in game. That's what it's going to look like. Like there's no point.
It would be lovely to think so. I'm looking at the difference between the base game and Horizons. Landable planets look dramatically better in Horizons than they do in the base game. I suspect that if you load up this third item on your launcher, the Odyssey option, then you're going to get that higher level of resolution. I think there is potentially, in order to provide as good a quality gameplay to as many players as possible, I think they've deliberately kept the resolution and the CPU horsepower required and the graphics card horsepower required for the base game substantially lower than it is for Horizon. I suspect they'll do the same again for Odyssey. That if your rig works at the moment, it'll still be fine with Horizons, but if you upgrade to Odyssey, you're possibly going to need a better graphics card just to force through the same frame rates with a greater level of detail.
Do you think maybe you will have higher minimum requirements?
Possibly.
Oh yes, I think so. But what do I know? But I definitely think so. Yeah.
I would say for sure, because they've been working on this for years and they've been talking about a code update and everything else. I think this is almost a new game, and you're going to see slightly higher system requirements for sure.
So do we not think there's a chance at all that the rendering for Horizons will change in the slightest?
It's possible.
I think it could. I think so. There's two possibilities that we're looking at here. The one is that this will be a overhaul to the entire graphical engine, which everyone, whether they purchase the new expansion or not, will sort of benefit by, but that only the people that purchase the new expansion will have the leggy bit or other, whatever the new this version is going to have some equivalent of the engineers or whatever, where it's like, hey man, if you don't want to pony up the $40 for Horizons, that's totally fine. You can still fly around, but you can never get those engineers. Like they're gonna have some equivalency. They have to sell it. Like it's a no-brainer from a sales concept. But yeah, I think there's a very real chance though that everyone, whether or not they buy on board to this new thing, if they have the system requirements to run it, might, I'm not saying for sure will, but might have access to the better looking planets bit, whether or not you can land on them.
The wrinkle to that, I suppose, that's going around my brain is if you've got someone playing Horizons and someone playing Odyssey, they can presumably still play together. And if the Odyssey guy and the Horizons guy go down to an airless moon, does the terrain not have to be identical to both of them, or can it be rendered slightly different?
The terrain comes out of Stellar Forge, and I don't think the basic shape of the terrain has changed. Actually, I studied the trailer at one point, looking for caves and things. I don't think the shape of the land has changed. I think it's just the detail and the coloration.
Just the map on it, basically.
It occurs to me that we have a bunch of dudes talking here, and we have an unexplored asset of a the one person that would be the best expert, I think, on this would be our camera woman extraordinaire, who really gets into all of the looks of the graphics of the different things. Rini, give us your input on this graphical side of it.
I think it's what's just been said. There's not enough to see in the trailer to know whether we're still just on a terrain map, or whether there is going to be a complete re-rendering. You're going to get things like caves and different structures. At the minute, it just looks like a massive upgrade to the actual textures. And I'm still trying to get my head around whether what would be nice is surely if that does go across to Horizons as well, and everything that you've just said. If it goes across everything, I'm just going to have to go around the whole universe and film everything all again. Quite simple.
You were quite excited by what you saw.
I'm very excited.
The
very
camera
excited by
woman
what I
started
saw.
going mad. Yeah.
Same as everybody in that field.
So Rini is getting plus more content than even all the rest of us. So, okay, let's look at Forge Your Own Path.
I actually had something to say. Sorry.
Go for it. Yes.
That's a shame, isn't it? So, Forge Your Own Path.
Oh, God. Eat a slug. So, what I was going to say is that we're talking about new hardware, will there be a new entry requirement, all that kind of stuff. It's still going to be running on the same consoles that Horizons runs on.
Very true.
So,
Very true.
It might not. Elite Dangerous is and has always been a very well optimized game. Sure, you could look at the networking issues and you could pick up some of the weird bugs, but that isn't optimization. That's like code bugs. It's something different, and I don't think it's going to be as intense as everyone thinks it's going to be. But then again, you look at an in-game engine render. We don't know how long that took to render, how long it took to animate, how long it will have taken to actually fully design, and also we won't have the same models that are in it that will be in the game, because it's just not how CG animation works. So it's something to really consider.
Okay,
that's very true. The other winkle that then adds. I can't quite think of because my brain just went and left the room. So that's good.
Moment. Excellent. Move on.
So that being the case, then that could very potentially mean that people in Horizons will actually get a terrain update.
It could do.
Or it could be the case of we just have additional planets added that we can access, and they are the ones that will look different. So, for example, our dust balls that we've got will stay the same. And then, your light atmospheric planets that we see already, ice planets that we can't land on currently, for example, will gain an update that we can then access, and that's separate. So it unlocks a different set of planets rather than, the same way Horizons unlocks planets. We get a different set of planets.
Doesn't that sound sort of a bit grim, though, that you've got these planets you can land on at the moment, but you're not allowed to get out on them?
Well, you might be able to get out on them. I just mean that they won't change the way they look. But we don't know. Okay. That's pure speculation.
Well, what Braben said in his press release was that he was extending coverage to the super fine scale that's needed for on-foot gameplay. So if that doesn't apply to all the places you can get out, that would be a bit weird, I reckon. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely got my hopes high that the planets we can land on. I'm sorry?
I'd be very surprised if you couldn't get out on the planets we already have, as well as the new ones. That would be
Please let it be, because you need to walk around them, don't you?
See,
you need to circumnavigate.
I keep coming back to the point of, and we don't know yet. We don't have the answer. But to me, I hope that all of the stuff that they're adding in Odyssey is like, okay, this is for sort of everyone gets to play, and if you want the leggy bits, you have to buy Odyssey. I hope so much, though, that it is set up such that, as you say, you can still land on the planet regardless of whether or not you bought sort of that upgrade. I mean, I definitely get that it sort of makes sense that you can't land on a planet if you haven't bought Horizons, because if you don't have I don't know. If you don't have a scooter, it's like, what's the point? But I guess we're coming back to still you have the freedom to drive around in your SRV on a planet regardless. Yeah, that's weird.
From a commercial perspective, though, nobody's. There's a substantial chunk of the player base who, quite frankly, aren't interested in walking around, but they really do want to land on planets that have blue skies. And for them, they're only going to buy the thing if you've got to buy the thing to get onto those blue planets.
And this is so bad to say, but like this is where I'm a horrible representative of the community, because I'm just gonna say flat out, I'm buying it no matter what. I'm buying it. Like I'm not I'm not gonna miss out on any of it. So it just because I have already sort of assumed I'm purchasing it, I haven't really focused on or worried about the whole like, well, what about the people left behind? I feel like this actually maybe brings up another interesting sort of question. Do you guys think, because for a lot of MMOs, for a lot of different big games like your Final Fantasy 14s and your World of Warcrafts or whatever, they set it up such that whenever they release a new sort of expansion, all of the old expansions get rolled into the base game, and now you buy. So for Elite Dangerous, the equivalency would be that as of when they drop EDO, when they drop Odyssey, Horizons is just automatically included in your base purchase, and now you pay extra for Odyssey. Do you guys think that that's a way they'll go? Or
absolutely, I did wonder that. I personally think that would be the best way to go. Yeah.
Agreed.
I think if they don't do it, it's going. I mean, imagine a new player coming in and they see, okay, so I have the base game, and then I need Horizons, and then I also need the Odyssey update. But what if you want Odyssey and not Horizons? If people want to go that way around, how is that going to work?
Yeah,
they leave themselves in that corner, don't they? Where it's the best thing to do, just roll them together.
Yeah. I think definitely Horizons will just be part of the main game, and everybody who doesn't have Horizons yet will probably just get it.
So what we're thinking as a group here, it seems fairly unanimous. Nobody's spoken against it, at least. Everyone from Odyssey gives the gift of Horizons to the cheapskates. Like, just here you go. There's something for nothing. Enjoy.
Yeah. Well, it's either that, or if you buy Odyssey, you get Horizons for free. It'll need to be one way or the other.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah, okay, you could bundle it in. So yeah, only if you buy Odyssey, you get Horizons as well. That would make sense.
See, this is why we invite Witherspoon. He's smart.
But one thing I was thinking is, what happens if let's imagine that we have two commanders. One has Odyssey and one doesn't, and they then land next to each other on a planet, and one guy decides to walk out in his ship. What then happens with the other guy? Can he still? He must still be able to see him walk around, but he just doesn't have that button available to him, or like
yeah,
I guess
presumably. So presumably your Odyssey player would be able to get out and wave and do a little, do the Carlton dance, and the Horizon level player or base level, not base level, but Horizon level, and presumably, hopefully they include that into base level, would be able to get out and sort of run him over in an SRV, but like not do the dance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the non-Odyssey player will even see the avatar walking around outside the ship.
They've got to.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't, it would be a huge missed marketing opportunity.
By mismarketing, do you mean plain rubbish? That would just be awful.
Wait. Horizons does not support animations for avatars wandering around.
Currently.
No, but that could be included as an update to Horizons.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to update only one part of the game. They're going to do the whole thing at the same time because of the talk of the code refresh and rewrite.
It's a massive code refresh.
They've got to do it for all of it because it's
You say that, but then I do find it surprising that non-Horizons owners see planets rendered differently from Horizons owners from space. There's clearly a graphical update in Horizons that has not been rolled back into base game.
That could be cheap. Well, technically Horizons wasn't a code refresh though, so I'm going to maintain my stance and call myself correct. But no, it's a fair point that it isn't that it hasn't been rolled back into it. But maybe it was more difficult to do it. And again, it's another incentive to buy the expansion. They are a business.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so in the matter of Alec Turner's idea versus Plater's idea, Plater has rendered a judgment in favor of Plater. So
yes,
just to mix things up a bit.
That is decided. So all right. So on Forge, is everybody good on the giant leap bit?
Yes.
No.
All right.
Alan? Nah.
Well, I think there's an elephant in the room here that I really think we have to talk about in this section because it says
Let's do it.
unforgettable vistas. I mean, this is, for me, the single most interesting thing in the trailer. Possibly the only interesting thing in the trailer, because we knew we were getting space legs, didn't we? Blue skies. Come on, guys. Blue skies. That is huge.
That's very true. But it hasn't been listed as a feature.
So why? Why is it not listed?
Why has it not been listed as a feature?
They cannot release a trailer with blue skies and then not have atmospheric landings. I mean,
No.
Frontier have done stupid things in the past, but that
Absolutely.
would be insane.
Absolutely. My point is, what I'm curious, and I really want to know what you lot think of this. My point is, it's not listed as a feature in Odyssey because landing on atmospheric worlds is about to become a feature of Horizons.
I think possibly that's correct, but I think also the other possibility is because I mean let's face it, forget the blue skies. The blue skies, that's great, but before we got to blue skies, the very first second of the first shot of the trailer is the ship approaching the planet, and you can very clearly see an atmosphere around it. And some people have pointed and said, oh, but look at how thin it is. Maybe it's just a trick of the light. No. That's how atmospheres work. If you look at the Earth, the actual Earth, the layer of atmosphere is only like 1/60th or 1/70th or something, the actual diameter of the Earth. So in real science terms, that's what atmospheres look like on planets when you approach them from far away. They don't.
I mean, it's important to understand the scale. That the ISS, the International Space Station, is 220 miles up in the air. That's not very far, and that's in space. So our atmosphere, on the 1G world, our atmosphere is only about sort of 5 to 10 miles high. On a much lower G world, it's going to be a lot less than that. And I think this is a lower G world by the look of it.
I submit to you, yeah, absolutely. With the way he's flying around on the rocket pack, yeah. I submit to you what we're looking at there is a very, very clear rendition, or rendering rather, of a low atmosphere, rocky, barren world, a Mars-like world, if you will. And I think that the reason why they didn't say it like specifically as an announcement is because then that's going to push the next question of, okay, exactly, just give us the list of exactly what type of world, and they're not ready to get to that question yet. They want to string it along a little.
And they can't spill it all at once, I guess.
Yes.
Did anybody expect, I think people have always talked about it's either going to be it's always either going to be elite feat or atmospheric landing. Elite feat or atmospheric landing. Which one will they do? And we all thought it was going to be elite feat on the rumor. Did anyone in this room expect both?
Actually, I did, yes.
I was hopeful for both.
Wow.
Absolutely, because they're never going to tell you up front what all the content's going to be. They're going to save some. Surely, any commercial decision would leave some nice surprise. Last time we all spoke about what surprises will come. Why wouldn't that come automatically? To me, I actually think it was going to come.
I was totally shocked. I thought it was going to be elite feat and base building, and I would throw both of them right out the window if we could get atmospheric landing. So I am so pleasantly surprised by the way that it turned out, man.
Should we? Where are we at? We at the Forge Your Own Path.
I think we'd better move on.
Yeah. So forge your own path, take on a wide variety of contracts, and play your way. From diplomacy and commerce to lethal stealth and all-out combat. Diverse settings, objectives, and NPCs offer endless mission variety and a near infinite amount of content to enjoy. Why don't we start with Plater? Because I feel like we almost left you out on the last one.
So the near infinite amounts of content, we have that now, don't we?
Yes.
Near infinite amounts. Missions, infinite. Bounty hunting, infinite. War zones, there's always war, miss out on anything. So I think it's kind of, they're not just talking about what's coming, but also what's kind of here already, because that marketing is going to be aimed at people that will be wanting to purchase the game and play the game who haven't experienced the base game even. And why wouldn't you want to kind of introduce them into everything in the first place? So I think that's kind of what that's aimed at. And the Forge Your Own Path it's basically a synonym for Blaze Your Own Trail, isn't it? it's
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Open world, basically.
Yeah, I don't think that's really telling us anything new. I think it's more of a, hey, look, this is what our game does. I bet you want some of that, don't you? You know, that kind of thing.
The part I think is really interesting here is the whole what was the diplomacy and commons to lethal stealth and all-out combat. What does that mean? I mean, lethal stealth sounds like a sneak up and murder that dude without getting spotted, or sneak in and steal a thingy and then bring it back. To all-out combat being, the all-out combat thing being more like kicking the door and shoot everything that moves kind of style, right? Of gameplay. Diplomacy and commons. I mean, to me, most of it, those two at least, sounds very combat, like basically like they're adding a FPS game to Elite. There's a lot more, I hope, to it. I hope than that. I hope there's gonna be the option to go do some, actual exploring, get some cartography data out of it that you can sell. Maybe you explore whatever on the surface, you find something that gives you some more data, so you have more than just scanning it from orbit. You can actually also, now that you find all these interesting spots on the surface, go down and explore them on foot to collect even more data for the explorers. Hopefully it's going to be some trade missions, mining. I always want more mining. But yeah, I think that's the most interesting part. It's like what kind of content we can expect. And I hope it's not just going to be a shoot 'em up game.
I think what we're looking... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, mate. Go on.
I think what we're looking at, if you want to sort of give it an equivalency, it would be sort of, you know how now you have the planetary scan or whatever missions, you have some where like the objective is to sneak in your SRV, scan the little beacon, and then run away while they're trying to shoot at you. And then you have other ones where it's more like assault the base. It's what I would call a force assault, where it's like we're coming in to hit a thing, but we're also kicking some butts on the way in. And I think that sort of, if you were to try to transpose that to the template of Elite Feet or Space Legs or whatever, I think that's kind of what they're envisioning there.
AKA shooting dumbfire missiles from orbit.
Yeah, I definitely. Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
I was going to say I say this as someone who enjoys first-person shooters, particularly stealthy, tactical first-person shooters. I really, really hope it isn't, and I don't think it is. I really hope it isn't just they're adding first-person shooter gameplay. I don't think for one moment that it is that, but I wouldn't say a lot more interested, but I'm also extremely interested in everything Astro mentioned. So like mining and prospecting and exploration and I don't know, a bit of science, and I'm interested to know what the diplomacy thing is as well. I don't think we've sort of got that at the moment. Could you call power play that at a bit of a stretch? But what is diplomacy? I don't know. And also the other thing I take from that particular paragraph was that NPCs offer endless mission variety. Again, I don't think it's a massive surprise, but it looks like we'll actually be going up to NPCs, talking to them, getting a mission off of some seedy guy in a pub or something like that, or a person behind a counter, rather than looking at a bulletin board or a menu, and as we have to at the moment from our ship.
Would love that.
Yeah.
Alec, you had something you wanted to say on the subject?
Yeah, really, just those two words, diplomacy and stealth, seem like the most interesting things in that sentence. Stealth suggests to me sniper rifles maybe, or sneaking around and stabbing people in the back. I don't know. It'll go to hand combat. Diplomacy is the most interesting one, because it's hard to. You do just wonder. You mentioned those two SRV mission types: one where you sneak in and scan, and one where it's full blown assault. Does diplomacy just mean not shooting?
Well, diplomacy could be, for all we know, diplomacy could be you sneak into a location, take an overview, like take an overwatch, right? And you've got to set up, like quite often actually happens with the real military, where you have sort of some camera equipment and you're not there to shoot somebody. You're there to record a conversation or a transaction or that Sirius Corp is moving mining equipment onto this location where they say they're just doing disaster relief and it's against some charter or whatever. You record something. There's some aspect of some kind of gameplay where it's like, okay, instead of just a data scanner, I've got a data recorder. I record that, and then you get out, you relay that information, and that's used in it's used in sort of economic or governmental warfare, but not in like physical, actually killing people warfare.
See, I think the diplomacy might be just another level of BGS, where there's going to be new kind of influence missions and stuff, where you're affecting factions rather than, yourself.
I would be absolutely amazed if it wasn't procedurally generated stuff, because that's what David Braben's good at. What we're going to be getting is something that will definitely work in a very similar manner to what we already have. Whether or not it looks different is a different matter, but the fundamental process, the way it works, is going to be very similar. And the mission system is amazingly complex at the moment. You may not appreciate it when you're taking missions, but it is amazingly complex. And if they can do the same thing on the ground, and the other thing, of course, is that we don't even have NPC SRVs on the ground in Horizons. We're going to be having NPC people walking about, people that we shoot at, people that we work with potentially, people that we work for. This is massive in terms of change of scope.
Well, one thing. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say, here's an interesting thought. So we have power play, which is on the sort of very grand scale of the three big superpowers and their bubbles around the galaxy. Then we have the BGS, which is the sort of to and fro between the different systems. What if with this we get another level of sort of BGS, which is just planet-wide? So it's sort of it's closer to what we, the sort of economies and things we think of here on Earth. What if there's a whole new sort of minor faction, which reflects the comings and goings on a planet itself? Just a thought.
Town council.
That would be a definite lot to add. That would be interesting. The one I agree with you 100%, Watherspoon, with your comment about if it's tied to the mission system, it's going to be proc gen or computer generated. But with one exception, it might not at all be tied to the mission system. That alliance thing, because there's another little sort of thing that's mentioned later in the press material or in the announcement, where it says something about go to these player hubs and like form allegiances. And so you have things like in Eve, where in Eve your squadron would be a corp. It's a corporation, and then you have, instead of just your corp, if your corp allies with another corp, then you form a entirely different unit. You form an entirely different sort of thing, and it could be that they're talking about that. So I agree 100% that if we're talking about a new addition to the mission system, that will be procedurally generated, but it may not have anything to do with the mission system. That forming alliances or allegiances may be referring directly to some new form of actual sort of player control over how we ally our corps and our squadrons and our player-made factions and whatnot.
I think we're moving on to the next point, and the next point is specifically, I think, about player with player. The assemble your crew section. Shall I just sort of read it out very quickly? It's social hubs, spreading throughout the galaxy, giving commanders the ideal place to plan their next move, it says. Form alliances, procure services, like you were saying, and even find expert support in highly coveted engineers. Hurrah, more engineers. These public outposts also help you acquire and upgrade weapons and gear to perfect your playing style. So you can basically buy stuff there as well. So most of that, to me, looks like it's about player interaction. I don't know what other people think.
I was wondering actually in there if you were going to end up recruiting a crew as well, an AI crew. It's specific. I'm sure it specifically used the word crew. I'm desperately trying to read it as I'm talking.
Assemble your crew. It's the title.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, it sounds like, I don't know whether that was going to be an AI crew or whether they were going to put a bit more of a focus on multi crew. And it actually being useful.
But you're thinking let's say you're going out on the mission, and you can then have, just like you can fit a certain number of modules in your ship, you can then say, oh, you can bring up to 4 crew members or 3 crew members, and those can then be NPCs that you can then choose from a variety of I think we have different specialities, or you could maybe be able to outfit them with the equipment you want, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
treat them almost like modules.
Exactly, like basically the crew members are exactly just like modules that you fit on your person or in your crew.
You can roll them into Felicity Farseer and get her to make them walk quicker.
Well, in answer to your question, Burr, you say, do you think that this is going to be more sort of NPC crew help, or do you think that this means they're going to fix multi-crew? And I say, ¿por qué no los dos? Let's have them both.
Yes, please. Yes, please. The other thing that occurred to me as well is if these social hubs are spread all over the galaxy, just go with me here. Yes, they'll be useful for getting together with other commanders, but those commanders, the social hubs themselves, are still going to be spread all over the galaxy, and it's a big old galaxy. So I was wondering if the act of going to a social hub means that you're then in contact with all the other social hubs all over the galaxy, and you can then form up into a crew there, and some elite reason means you then get multi-crewed into someone's ship, or even, and we might be getting on to the next thing, so I'll kind of rein it in a bit, but whether we then have some sort of instantiated content going on, and you end up almost doing a dungeon raid. But the social hubs there must be a reason for them to be dotted all over the galaxy, because do you know what I mean? There's no point 5 people going to 5 different social hubs. So it must be like some way. I wonder if you go into a social hub, you see loads of other people who are all at different social hubs all over the galaxy.
Well, at least you would be able to connect to them. We have telepresence for multi-crew. I mean, law-wise, the same technology could, I guess, be used for something similar. So you don't have necessarily to be on the same planet, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Social hubs are Raxler.
Yes. It's ways to other social hubs.
Yeah, so you can instantly teleport around.
Braxler confirmed.
There you go. Could be that.
I know. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say with the idea of the social hubs is kind of I do think it will be a virtual presence type thing. And they have like different locations where you go to them, and then you go into it, but it's the same kind of as everyone. I think it could be something like that, rather than you'd be like, hey, let's all go to the bar in Shinrata, and that's your social hub. You go there, and only the people that are in the bar in Shinrata are there.
Because that'd be useless, wouldn't it? Basically?
I mean, it'd be busy, I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Doesn't No Man's Sky do something similar? Can't you go to like a social area in No Man's Sky and you see people from no matter where they are? Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you can summon it basically into whichever system you're in. You summon it, and you go there, and everyone's there. But when they leave it, they leave, and they're in their system, not yours. So it's kind of like it's very like you all experience the same inside, but the outside's different.
I have to jump in on behalf of Alec Turner, the one person who's using the DOT system, and say, Alec, you had a thought on Social Hub.
Yeah, it's made slightly redundant by the interesting idea of sort of telepresencing to social hubs. My thought was simply social hubs spread throughout the galaxy. I just suddenly wondered whether they were going to make some of the existing installations and bars be places we could actually land at, and that's where some of the bars are. But I don't know, maybe not.
Okay, very cool. Anybody else with thoughts on the assemble your crew section before we move on to the sphere of combat, which I'm going to give Plater a heads up right now. It would be awesome if you could read that part and start it. Do you have the document up? Or
yep, and I'm totally paying attention and listening today.
Awesome. Does anybody else on assemble your crew have something they want to chip in?
No. That's no sphere of combat.
All right, Plater, if you can please start us on sphere of combat, and when that's done, Burr can jump into opinions of the trailer, and we can start from there.
Cool. So, the sphere of combat. Experience intense first-person combat. Kit out your character with an array of weapons and gear, and coordinate with teammates to master a multi-layered, deep, tactical environment where commanders, SRVs, and starships converge. To me,
That's so exciting.
That sounds like
is so cool.
You're in your ship, you take a mission. The mission is go attack a base, which I tried to do earlier on stream and it failed miserably because I just couldn't work out how to get to the thing. But what you do is you fly in, you blow some stuff up, maybe you take out the air cover in your ship, you come in, you land, got to land a little bit far out because suddenly, oh no, they've got anti-air weapons on the ground that you can't take out with your ship. You get in your SRV, you drive into the installation, you're spinning around, wheel spinning, donutting like crazy, shooting turrets, you drive up to the door of the installation you need to get in and break into, you jump out of your SRV, you're into the installation, you're shooting people as you go, you get the data, you come back out, you get in your SRV, you drive to your ship, you go to your ship, you take off and you take it where it needs to go. Is what I want it exactly to be like that, nothing else. And that's exciting. That's what it needs to be like, and that's how I envision it.
That certainly seems to be the picture that's being painted there. Yeah.
But I mean, just imagine if you do this in a group of people. So like you set off a group of people in SRVs like 5 kilometers outside the base. Someone swoops in and fire missiles out, take out the defenses, and as soon as the defenses are done, all the SRVs just come over a hilltop and just begin to charge in. I mean, the level of coordination you could do in this, if you actually have missions that are so difficult that it would require more commanders, which I hope they will do, would be awesome.
That would. I asked Plato on that fabulous description of what this could be like. Did you see I think it might even have been a Frontier live stream with Hutton where they did a base assault where they had SRVs and air cover. Did you see that one?
I haven't seen it, but I have seen the premise of it.
Okay. So that was pretty much as you described, except without commanders on foot. So I must confess, my reading of this is little more than what we have now, except with commanders as well. You know, if you want to stage a base assault with friends and get a bunch of SRVs and a bunch of ships and sort of role play it a little bit, because maybe you don't really need the SRVs, but it's quite fun to have them. You can do that now, and I'm not convinced this is actually anything more than just adding commanders to that.
But you can't go inside the buildings.
Oh, so number one, that's true, and then number two, Alec, I did see that live stream that they did with Frontier, where they did the assault the base to free the prisoners.
It was like what Plato just described, except without people on foot, right?
Well, sort of, except for it also was using their imagination. They literally made up objectives for themselves where we first have to take out the outside whatever, then we have to do this to get access to the door, then we have to land. They said then we have to land a ship on this landing pad. That landing pad didn't do anything. It was just a thing that they were making up in their head. Whereas if the game had actual objectives that were defined and sort of like it gave a mission type to do X, and you had to get this objective on foot, this objective in a car, this objective on a ship, it would actually tie in those sort of well thought out, imaginative, adding to your own emergent gameplay and make it as features in the game.
One of the problems with the existing base scenarios is that you are supposed to go around and scan the things before the timer runs out and scan them all, and then that opens the gate, and then you can drive the SRV up the ramp where the red goes. But the simple fact is you can just leap the SRV over the gate using the thrusters, and you can just storm the entire from the sky anyway. So I think they have already slightly attempted to do that kind of scenario, and you can just shortcut it. So I hope if they're making a push to do that again, that they make it that you can't shortcut it and that you do shit.
If for example one of the objectives is you have to trigger X, Y, and Z to unlock a door to get into the building, and you have to go into the building and access a panel, there's no way to shortcut that. Because doing dark wheel missions, I literally just will fly up, go into silent running, fly right over to the beacon that you're supposed to scan with your little scooter, and I just scan it from the ship, and then leave and call it good because it's a shortcut. But like if they tie this in, that the on foot part of it can make several sort of roadblocks where they have to have it sort of done right according to the game, and you can't skip it by jumping the wall. Burr, I know you go ahead.
because it's a shame, really, because they very easily have made some of the scannable beacons in the existing Horizon stuff be inside a little tunnel where you had to be in the SLV to do it. Anyway, sorry, Burr has a comment.
Yes, on base
Sorry,
assault.
all I was going to say that on the base assault front, that's as it stands at the moment. I want it to be, as it is in the game at the moment, I want it to be so much better than it is. I mean, the point that Alex brought up about you can leap your SRV over the gate anyway. You can fly up to the power generator, taking the fire in an engineered ship and just unload a load of missiles directly onto the power generator and then just shut everything down anyway. We have tried in the Burr Pit to kind of to do something a little bit more tactical with what's there, and it just isn't there at the moment. It's too easy to sort of fudge it, and or it's too difficult to do it properly, if you know what I mean. So it is something we've desperately tried to do. We haven't given up yet, but if they have actually managed to do something like that, like Thomason in our chat just said, target painting so torpedoes and seeker missiles will work on bases, that kind of thing. If they do actually, I don't know if full spectrum is the right word. You can probably tell me, Kai, but like kind of tying everything together so that you need close air support, you then need tactical vehicles on the ground, and you need all that going on so that the really spongy targets, the real soft squishy targets, the guys can then go in and do the stuff that they need to do, hopefully inside the building, and then just shut everything down or take the thing or whatever the MacGuffin is that they're there to do. I really, really hope that they can tie all that together, and that is absolutely what that's saying. And the other point I wanted to make was this sphere of combat thing. That to me was the point I alluded to earlier. That to me almost sounds like a dungeon kind of scenario that you'd get with a typical MMO. So perhaps you would go to a social hub, get a team together, and then everybody jumps into their ships, but in actual fact they get magically teleported to Dungeon Planet, and they go and do a thing.
So you're describing there an integrated force deployment.
Okay.
Plater, you had an idea on scenarios that you wanted to tie in with this.
Yeah, because at the moment you've kind of we do have some great, wonderful scripted scenarios in the game involving megaships when you drop in on them, and I very much feel like because it is just megaships, it was kind of a tester to see if it worked, and there are lots of different aspects to that whether it be repairing a ship, whether it be fighting off pirates, whether it be attacking the ship, they've got a lot of options in there, and that's all very much stuff that we can potentially build upon for scenarios. So when talking about those trigger points, the system potentially is already in place. Frontier have got some experience in coming up with triggers for events to happen. You drop in and you can start attacking the ship straight away. That chooses your side for you, you're off. Or you've got the option of, hey, help us out, we can do this instead, and then the events trigger. And I think those triggered events could be something that we see as part of the multi-layered combat experience.
If they go that route, what I really hope they do is to do a little bit like what they did with the conflict zones, where you both have like a main objective, and then you maybe have a list of optional objectives, and depending on how many optional objectives you complete, you then get a bigger reward at the end, because that really adds a ton of replay value. Because it may be first time I'm playing a specific mission, or a specific mission, I'm getting my ass handed to me. The next time, okay, I get better and better, and I finally began to become good enough that I can comfortably complete a mission, and then I can then begin working on including also solving some of the side objectives as well. That would be like, you can really replay those missions a lot.
And when you think about it, you could really do a lot to integrate. So Witherspoon makes an excellent point, or made an excellent point when he said that, hey, look, these missions are proc generated. This is they have sort of templates set up for that. You could still do some interesting stuff where it's like, hey, look, if you do an assault in force, where like you come through the front door, you kick it in, you murder everybody, and you achieve the objective, you get X rating. You succeeded in the mission. But if you do an assault in stealth, where you slip in, slip out, get the blueprints, and nobody even knows you were there, you get some higher objective rating. You can tie that to proc generated fairly easily, where it's just like, if the alarm goes off, then you're not allowed to get this rating on the mission. If the alarm doesn't go off, then you can get, it unlocks this higher sort of rating. I think there's ways that they can still do that without getting into the nitty gritty of sort of making bespoke hand sort of designated sort of achievements or whatever.
I mean, they did say in one of the earlier sections that they had, was it near infinite mission varieties, and the way I read that is, if a mission would have a main objective and secondary objective, because that's the only way I can see you could get near infinite. I think, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something along those lines. The only way I can see you could get that is by having combinations of things. So if you have a main objective, let's say you have, I don't know, 10, 15 different main objectives, and then maybe 20 different side objectives, and you then get 2 of those side objectives maybe per mission that you have to complete. And that could be, as you said, go in without being discovered, or only use this type of weapon, or like whatever, right? Or do this within this time frame, or something like that. And if that means you can get a near infinite combination of missions if you do it like that. So I think that could be something like that.
Well, there's
one other...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's another discussion I want to take before we move on to the next one.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it was just the most discussed S that I've ever seen is the small S after SRVs in that section. Do you guys think we're gonna get more of them?
Yeah. Well, they also said commanders, so that means clearly we're all gonna get multiple accounts per.
And starships.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely if there were. Yeah, it'd be great if there were.
I would be disappointed if there weren't more SRVs in.
100%.
Bring them in, surely. This is the time to.
It would make sense, at least.
Someone.
Sorry, but I say I'm confused why SRVs are used for military purposes. Why would you have something with a giant glass cockpit at the front? On these tiny little wheelie leg things.
SRV is the wrong name, isn't it?
I can answer that, Plater. I can answer that. Ready?
Go on.
Because it's the only option we have.
Oh, that's rubbish. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, it is. It's true. No, I'm saying I would very much like for there to be a big. I would love there to be a big boatload of options where we've got a little stealthy hover bike, we've got a tanky whatever, we've got a dump truck looking one where they can go out and mine stuff. I would love all of those different things, but right now, if you told me, hey Kai, you have to go assault a location that's 5 miles north of Philadelphia. I live in South Philadelphia. I'm going to use my car to get there. It's a Toyota Prius. It's not built for combat, but it'll still get me to the objective, and then I'll do whatever I need to do once I get there. So I'm not being cheeky when I say, like, the reason why we use them is because it's what we have right now. And when you have a job to do, you use whatever you have. Now, I 100% agree. We should get more SRVs, and when we do get more SRVs, I will use the better tool for the job. I will use one that's tanky, or I will use one that's stealthy. But right now, if I got to get rolling, I'm going to use what I got.
Can I just say that SRV would not be what they are, because the SRV is a specific model of ground vehicle. So you have a surface something else vehicle.
I don't think it is.
Combat Prius. I want a combat Prius.
Combat Prius.
Yeah. So, I mean, SRV literally stands for Surface Reconnaissance Vehicle, which is why on Water Worlds I was saying it would be SSRV, a Subsurface Reconnaissance Vehicle. But, yeah, I guess it would be an SMV, a Surface Mining Vehicle, or an SAV, a Surface Assault Vehicle, or whatever. But, yeah.
Somebody grab Kai, he's going down the rabbit hole.
But it is exactly that point, though. It's that whole kind of SRVs, they are not fit for the purpose that we have to use them for. Because when they hit a pebble, they blow up. It's just, and we're expected to go into combat against multiple turrets, multiple skimmers, multiple everything. Even ships at certain points you get shot at. So it's kind of like, well, maybe there should. I mean, we all know outside of the game there 100% should be something else, multiple ones, because otherwise what's the point of calling an SRV a scarab? Except to, identify it from something separate, which we don't have.
Yeah, no, I 100%. So, like, the day that it dropped, DJ Wiley in my Discord said, am I reading too much into this that it says SRVs? So, like, it should definitely, there's multiple coming, right? And I said two things. Number one, you're absolutely reading too much into that. Number two, I cannot imagine a world where they add all kinds of on-the-planet content and they don't expand on the SRV option. So while you are reading too much into that S, it's also safe to assume that there's more stuff coming. It's a funny little catch-22 or whatever. All right. Did anybody else have anything on this point before Burr launches us on the next one?
Just one more thing, which is just like to mention it before we move on. Just perhaps some of those base assaults might be on Thargoid bases.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have nothing more to say at the moment because the trailer has nothing more to say. But
from Shield to this man.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so opinions on the trailer then. What did we like? What didn't we like? And what precisely do we take from the words at the bottom, pre-alpha in-engine footage? So can I kick off on this? What did I like?
Sure.
There were legs in it. It looked very pretty. I'm not down on what we saw at all, but there was a lot more about it that I was a little bit disappointed by than I was excited by, if I'm being brutally honest. It was. I tell you what, if I can just be a right little Norman and just tell you what I didn't like. It led, and I say this as I say, I'm someone who really likes first-person shooters, and I really like tactical first-person shooters in particular. It led with first-person shooter gameplay, or the implication of first-person shooter gameplay, and I know that makes a lot of Elite Dangerous players very nervous. And also that's not what Elite Dangerous for me is about. Yes, there's combat in it, but I don't really feel that that's the core of the gameplay. I don't think Elite's got a core gameplay, and I think, like, for an opening teaser, I would rather have seen. This is going to sound weird, but a lot less. I would rather have seen a foot hitting the dirt and leaving a footprint behind, and the words Odyssey coming soon or something like that, just to confirm that space legs were in there. The fact that they showed so much more, but it was alluding to first-person shooter gameplay. Whilst yes, it got me excited, I think it upset a lot more people in the community. Upset's the wrong word, but made them a little bit more nervous than they needed to be.
Can I challenge your statement there real quick?
Please do, mate. Yeah, please do.
I don't. 2 seconds. Just a good joke in my chat that mining is core gameplay.
So
I like that.
Yes. So I want to challenge your assumption that it led with first-person shooters. Specifically, I think that what Frontier is sort of known for doing, and some of their stuff, is they'll show you a thing that gets you thinking you saw A, and then only afterward, when you get the full information, do you realize that you saw A, B, C, and D. And then people go like, oh, of course, whatever. I would assert that what they led there with, quite cheekily and quite sort of stealthily, is they led with atmospheric landings and followed it up with a big glossy, how about some first-person shooter gameplay sort of hints.
Okay. Okay.
I disagree.
The first thing you see is the atmosphere.
I would like to have, in that way, I would like to have seen more then. I'd like to see someone, I don't know, exploring and someone prospecting or...
Okay. Fair.
Someone admiring the view.
Enjoying a vista, if you will.
Someone with a camera just walking around taking pretty pictures.
Yeah, Reed, you're up.
I wanted to chip in what Kai said about what Frontier do with the trailers and stuff. No, they don't. They don't do that. They don't show you more than you think. Everyone thinks we've seen more than there is, and then when you get it, it's not there and you're disappointed. That's what happens, and that's what always happens, is people see more than is actually there, and they get totally overhyped about it, which, to be fair, right now, I'm overhyped about Space Legs. I know when I get it, I'm going to be like, idiot, should not have done that. Because the thing is that they have shown us, like, we're reading into the wording loads as well, and all that kind of stuff, and it's all very similar stuff that they've said before, and kind of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do that thing where I'm like, calm down for a minute, be objective, and then go, wait, when was the last time Frontier showed us more than what we thought we were seeing? Like, when was the last time that was? Thargoids? No, we've seen, that was very clear, everything that was going on in that. Knew what was there. Still planetary stuff, everyone knew what it was. We got there, we found out it definitely was that. They even permit locked the system that was in the trailer, which was weird. But they've not shown us anything that's out of the ordinary or extra. It's very much like it's kind of what we take from it a lot of the times, and they aren't showing us anything that's to be missed at this point. Like there's so little in this 1 minute 20 seconds that you look at it and you go, right, landing on planets, blue skies, must mean atmospheres, that's logical. We're walking around, we know it's going to be first-person combat, futuristic guns, armour, which is new, don't have armour at the moment.
Little jetpack.
Cool jetpack, yeah, you don't have walking around, don't have any of that.
A new installation or outpost where they were landing at. That was a weird little, I haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah, it just looked like a landing pad on a building, didn't it?
Well, it looked like if you zoom in on the thing, which I'm embarrassed to say that I did, but there's on the top right corner, there's like a couple of like huts, like a small installation. On the top left corner, there's what looks like some sort of a bunker, and then on the bottom left corner is the main bit of the installation that's around the
Okay.
But with the whole reading into more stuff, people are like, oh yeah, we're going to get base building because here's a landing pad on its own that we've never seen before. Frontier go, no base building. It's like, that's kind of my point.
It's not just no base building; it's no base building in the roadmap whatsoever.
At this time. Yeah.
At this time.
Yeah. And that means we're not going to see it in at least 2 or 3 years. So
I agree that's probably, and you know what? Here's the thing, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm happy about that. I was somebody that was psyched for what base building could mean. But again, I go back to my previous statement of, do you want space legs or base building? I would chuck both of them out a window for atmospheric landing. So the fact that base building isn't on the agenda at this time, to me, means that there's a very high likelihood that we get space legs and the start of the atmospheric landing sort of spectrum, because that's a I don't think we get all of atmospheric landings. If we get all of atmospheric landings, that teaser trailer would have had them landing in a jungle planet. But I think what we get here is rocky barren worlds, maybe ice worlds, and maybe scoopable gas giants, and then 6 months to a year from now, water world.
Where do you get scoopable gas giants from?
I'm saying that if you try to think of what the possible sort of how the spectrum would be, to me it seems like rocky barren worlds and ice worlds first, then the next step would be scoopable gas giants, then the next step would be water worlds, then the next step would be Earth-like worlds, and then after that, or like Earth-like worlds with just flora, and then after that fauna, and then after that maybe megafauna. I don't know. I'm just thinking, if they're not focused on base building, what are they focused on? I pray to God that it's the focus after Odyssey drops is more on that atmospheric landing spectrum.
Yeah, because that's one thing a lot of people have seen is how many planets will be included where we can actually land and go out and walk. And I still believe that we are only going to see barren planets. So all planets we have today, including barren planets now with an atmosphere.
So you don't think ice?
Oh, yeah, ice as well, but ice is barren to me as well. When I say barren, I mean no plant life, no animals, no larger cities, anything like that.
I agree.
I want to know if we can walk around on the 10G worlds.
Yeah.
Yes.
All around.
I would think that if you remember from sort of The Expanse, when they have to get those shots and stuff so they can move the Martians who are used to living in not 1G, that they can function on Earth. I would think that, I mean, I don't know, that's a crazy whatever, but like, if you're walking around on a 10G world, you better have some sort of an exoskeleton suit like that is in the EDRPG game in order to sort of facilitate that. Otherwise, it's like science.
I'm just going out for a crawl.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important that we address something in regard to our feelings of the trailer, and I think that this stems from an observation that Rini brought to the group that I would very much like for her to expand upon, if she will.
Yeah, for me, the one sort of, for all the excitement, same again, I'm very positive about everything, but just a slight disappointment on the balance and the bias and the portrayal of the male to female characters. And the female characters, even in, 3306, we don't seem to be much further ahead with a very stereotypical portrayal of the roles that the male and female commanders take. And it's the first time for me that I've had to think like this in my Elite career, which I know is only a couple of years. But what struck me perhaps more than the trailer, it was where, looking through the press kit, which included the concept art, and if I was trying to find a good screenshot for a thumbnail, and every single one that I scrolled through, what is there, 8 that they put out plus the 4 concept art, and every single couple of part of their promotion pack, you got the male standing tall at the front, female in the background, male at the front, female following, and I was just a little bit disappointed that it seems to have fell into. I would like to think more, but I'd like to think better of Frontier, that in this day and age we can have a bit more diversity and a slightly less stereotypical, old-fashioned 1950s, the man takes the lead, the woman's behind. And it was just something that struck me on their promotional material.
I'm horrified to say, like, when I first saw the trailer, I didn't notice at all, right? I did not notice at all because with my stupid, dumb man eyes. And then as soon as very delicately pointed it out to me, I can't look at that trailer and not see it now. And it's really so obvious.
Yeah, the concept art that the press had as well, because we took. I don't know about you guys, but when that concept art, I love artwork like that anyway. And the first thing you do is zoom in and see all the details and see if there's anything in there that gives you a clue to what's going on. There's some really, really good stuff. The only 2 women in all of that concept art is the woman behind the counter serving.
The travel agent.
The travel agent,
yeah.
And the woman propping up the bar. And sadly, apart from that, that's the only representation. And I just feel a little bit let down on that this time. I hope they do better. We have voiced an opinion privately to them, and I hope they take that on board and we see a little bit of progress on that going forwards.
And I don't like hearing this. Sorry, Kai, just to cut you off real quick. Like, anybody hearing this, don't think for one moment that we're sort of, like righteous, forthright PC warriors.
No, absolutely not.
We try and treat everybody equally and get on with our lives basically. But it was so blatant. Once it was pointed out to my stupid man eyes, it was so blatant.
What's the point? I don't want to go on a campaign. I don't want to be a PC warrior. I think everybody's equal. I don't care what sex, gender, or whatever you are. I think everybody's equal. I don't want to have to think about it. I spent years in World of Warcraft having to think about it. I don't want to do that in a battle bikini and battle knickers. I don't want to have to do that in Elite. We are all commanders, and I would like that level playing field restored a little bit.
100%. And I think, and other people have as well. I have, and I know other people have as well, sort of contacted Frontier and said, like, hey, here's something to think about. I agree. So Alec Turner made a point where he says, like, well, I don't think it's all that bad in the trailer. And I agree, because the trailer is such a brief snippet that it's like, hey, man, if we released a 1 minute long thing of just 2 people walking, it might be that the man is in the lead in the front one, in the first one, and then the next one has a woman in the lead, or it could be, it's so small of a data point that it doesn't give you
sort of a, hey, they're doing this or doing that. But if you look at the extended, as Rini quite rightly points out, if you look at the extended sort of packet, the press release packet that went out on this, you do notice two things. Number one, 100% of the people in the universe in the year 3306 are white, and number two, the only two females in the entire sort of depicted universe of that press release packet, at least, were the ticket agent at a travel agency and a woman at a bar. And while I completely get that a lot of marketing towards, you know, space sims and whatever, a lot of it might be, or video games in general, sort of might be geared towards, you know, sort of white male, whatever, and to a large extent, I would submit to you that in the year 2020, when you look at The Expanse and the two most kick-ass people in the entire of the characters in the entirety of The Expanse are Naomi Nagata and Bobby Draper, they're like, we're ready. You can show more stuff. But you're absolutely right. We're laboring on this too much. Let's sort of move it on to the next point. What else? What else were pluses and minuses from the trailers for you guys?
So personally for me, the thing that I got the most excited was actually looking at the blue skies, looking at the atmosphere, because I am really looking forward to going out, finding a planet, sitting a ship down somewhere, you know, right at the day-night Terminator, go find a little hilltop and put the ship down there and then sit and watch the sunrise or sunset or whatever, right? I mean, visually, Elite, like the visual team that does the visual stuff for Elite, has always done an amazing job. So I'm having really high hopes for that. The things that I didn't like was some of the things that already been mentioned, that there seems to be a very large focus on first-person shoot-'em-up kind of gameplay. And while I definitely could see that being fun, I would really hope that it would also do something to cater into the more industry / exploration / trade / whatever, anything else side of Elite, and also make some of that type of gameplay available for Elite feed.
Alec, you had I think you were also very, very interested in the blue skies and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, opinions on the trailer. What did I like? Blue skies. I mean, really, honestly, from what we kind of suspected we were getting space legs. So in a way, there's nothing in the trailer in terms of space legs that surprised me. I don't know. The animation, the walking animation is very nice, but is that what we'll see in game? Hard to say. But yeah, the blue skies was just a complete revelation because I didn't expect it. So that's all I saw. I just saw blue skies for 1.5 minutes. What didn't I like? I don't think there was anything I didn't like. I thought it was sensational. It's a teaser. I did just want to kind of remind people about that. Maybe it's a 1.5 minute teaser. So I don't think it has to have a lot of information in it. And wow, what a teaser. Atmospheric landings when people didn't expect them. I think that's huge. Teaser.
Alec, do you reckon you'll be able to use the jetpacks that are on the back of the suits?
Jetpacks are interesting, aren't they? Yeah, I suspect, and I think someone else thinks, that they'll be for softening landings. I doubt if we can use them to travel long distances. I know a lot of people think I'm going to be the first person to actually circumnavigate a planet on foot, but frankly, if those jetpacks don't if all they do is soften landings, I'm not entirely sure I'm up for it.
So what do we take, guys, from, before we move on from this topic, what do we take from the very sort of key important tag at the bottom of it where it says, in-engine pre-alpha footage? Let's address that before we move.
Interesting. Anyone in the game industry here with sort of experience of what that phrase really means, if anything?
You're pointing at us, aren't you?
I mean,
it's I don't think you can. I suppose what you can take from that is it was rendered in the game engine, but it is not gameplay. I think is the only thing that you can take from that. So it's an indication of what the game would probably look like. I would imagine on a very, very high-end PC.
So it's reasonable to assume, well, we could, for example, assume that terrain that we see in the background, that level of detail, that might be what we would see.
I absolutely think that's a safe assumption. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd be very disappointed if it didn't look somewhere close to that when it launches, but it wouldn't be the first time that the games industry had done that to us. So.
Okay. Sorry, I know I had my turn, but I've just remembered something else I did like, and that did also surprise me, was that hike in quality. I guess I hadn't really expected that.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the one last thing I want to say with regard to the trailer, and when it first launched and when it hit, I kind of want to address the sort of meta sort of feeling in the entire community. To me, like, yeah, the second day with other stuff where VR questions and other questions came in, base building, whatever, some people had feelings and thoughts they wanted to express of criticism or whatever. But day one, just that trailer launching, the entire community reacted like it was surprise Christmas. Like it was Christmas that just happened to drop in June for some reason. No one expected it. And then when it dropped, everybody was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I mean, if you look even in the subreddit communities, they have a listing of the subreddit gaming communities. Elite Dangerous jumped up from the 16th spot of the subreddits that are getting activity and interest and people are checking and posting on, to the number 6 slot. It had a massive jump, and everybody seemed super hyped.
And after they announced what was going to happen to VR, though, did it slump again?
It didn't slump, but let's be honest. There's maybe the tenor of some of the posts changed a little, but
wow.
Yeah, it was a nice shot in the arm for the community. It was nice to sort of see that level of positivity coming out again.
Oh, there will be a backlash inevitably because we've got such a long time to wait.
Yeah.
Which is where development diaries and so on could come in use.
The intention of this video, 177-second video that about half of it is text on the screen, we've broken down like this is a Pruder film. I mean, we're looking for the shooter on the grassy knoll in this, short little video, and
was he in it as well?
we're getting into gender roles, trigger discipline. I mean, everything about this video, we've broken down, and that just shows the excitement and passion of the community, and that's what I take away from it.
I wanted should we talk about the whole VR or the lack of VR because there's been a lot of confusion about it. Sure. I saw some people say or think that VR is going to be taken out of Elite completely. I don't think that is the case. Yeah, it was like, wait, what? How did you come to that conclusion? Well, that's not how I read it, at least.
Let me jump in for 1 second to say, not only is that not the logical case of how it would be, but Frontier have stated explicitly, word for word, in a live stream, that will not happen. VR is still in the game everywhere where it's in the game right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But that then begs the question. I mean, now that we know that VR is still going to be in Elite, so when you fly your ship, you drive your SUV, you are VR capable. But what if you are owner of the Odyssey update and you then want to leave? Because I don't think the game can just on the fly say, now I'm just going to like that, I'm going to swap over and now I'm in screen mode, and you have to take your headset up and then you play around with your mouse and keyboard. Because HOTAS is probably not going to be the most fun interface to use for this. And then when you bang your CV back with the VR headset, or what do you guys think? How is that going to work? Is it just going to be, well, you're in VR, you can't go out of you can't use that thingy, like the Odyssey update, the Space Lakes?
I know Plater had an interesting thought on that VR that I think addresses just that fact. Can you tell us your thoughts?
Yeah, so at the moment, when you launch Elite Dangerous, you have the option on the launcher and you can choose Elite Dangerous, or you can choose Horizons. Obviously, you've got single player training and that there as well. But, I think that what will be the case is that when you launch Odyssey, it won't run in VR. That's going to be the easiest way to manage it from a transitional point of view. You don't. That's it. Not because they've Frontier would have gone actually we don't want people to experience any content now in VR whatsoever. It's more of they looked at what they could deliver and they decided what would be the best player experience. And the best player experience for them to ensure they can actually deliver some content in a decent time is going to be a simple first-person player experience, because VR and making something suitable for VR is difficult. How many AAA titles are there out there for VR games? Half-Life Alyx?
Yay.
That's kind of it. If you're talking about AAA, there isn't anything really out there. And the reason is because it is difficult. And it is for a minority of gamers. Sure, growing minority, but it is still a minority of gamers. So it's a lot of work for you to potentially put into something that won't get utilised. Or you put some effort in, you don't absolutely nail it, and then people tear you to pieces and roast you for it. So I think Frontier have picked the option that will be, well, I think they might pick that option, don't know for certain, that, they turn around, they say no, it won't launch in VR, it won't launch in a HMD, it won't do that. I've got someone in my chat who says that the game cannot turn off VR, it's a feature of the graphics driver, not the game. That's incorrect. If a game doesn't support it, it won't support it. You might be able to launch it in the HMD that it comes up like a huge screen, that kind of thing, in a 2D environment, but it will not project both images to both eyes and give you that stereoscopic kind of immersive view. It won't do that. It will probably just turn around and be like, no, we're not doing that, because it won't work that way.
So your idea that it will literally just be at the base level of load in, like you don't get any Odyssey content unless you load into Odyssey the same way you do with Horizons.
Yeah.
That is definitely one possibility of how it could go, and we need to get information on that. Another possibility could be that you can do all of the stuff you can do now in a ship, or sitting down in an SRV or in your cockpit of your ship, but that whenever you go to do the leggy bit, you would have to sort of transfer over to the non-VR system. I'm not saying that I think that is what's going to happen. I'm saying that is a possibility.
I just don't think that's going to be... It would be like, you would get the same effect as if you would suddenly, in the middle of the gameplay, say, oh, this part of the game is only available up to 1440p, but not 4K. So everybody playing 4K would suddenly have to we're just going to rescale your image and rechange your resolution and everything mid-gameplay. That's not gonna be a great experience, I think, for doing that in the middle of a game.
I would agree that the walking around is the reason that they're not having VR in Odyssey, but I certainly agree with Plato that the simple solution is to just say, if you choose that option on the startup, then you just don't get VR. Makes perfect sense, and especially if you think that off the total number of players who play Elite, probably 5% maximum use VR. I know they're very passionate, but it is still a very small proportion of the total population of players.
But then that brings up the question, do you think that non-Odyssey purchasers, non-Odyssey gated people, right, will be able to land on that atmospheric rocky barren world and get out of their ship into the SRV as they already can right now? Because I think that if that's the case, you may end up with a lot of sort of VR users, that passionate subgroup, sort of choosing to do the workaround of just not loading Odyssey and landing on that same planet and doing all of their stuff, and then only ever loading Odyssey on those times when they want to do the leggy bits.
Well, that would then be a massive disincentive to buy Odyssey, which to me makes it sound like not commercial sense. I don't think you'll get to land on those atmospheric planets at any rate. You might well get to land on existing planets, and you might get better terrain in Horizons. But I really doubt that from a commercial perspective, the really exciting thing, landing on atmospheric planets that so many people want to do, they're not going to just give that away. Surely not. That's something that has to be part of Odyssey.
They might not give it away as such, but in order to do anything meaningful on those planets, you might have to do the leggy bit.
Yep.
I would genuinely, if I was making my choices, I understand that that they might be struggling, is the wrong word, but they might be struggling to get a decent VR leggy experience. I suspect that's probably what's going on, and then at some point down the line they will bring it in. But by the by, if I had my choice, I would say let the Horizons users fly down and land on the planets, the new planets and the atmospheric worlds that we appear to be getting. Just don't let them get out and do the leggy thing. They can get out and do their SRV, everything that you can do at the moment. You can. I think that would probably make the VR community a lot happier.
Yes.
If they could do that, and that to me would be the sensible way to go. And I know the VR community is not huge in Elite, but it is extremely passionate. And while I can't stand VR myself, I absolutely hate it. I do feel for them. I do really feel for them. It must be extraordinarily disappointing at the moment, and it would be really, really lovely. And unfortunately, this isn't the way that Frontier generally goes, but it would be really lovely if they could just open up a little bit and just talk about, set some expectations. What are we actually? Don't want like really massive details and massive spoilers, but if you could just address that little bit particularly, and just and say this is what you will get. You won't be able to do this. You won't be able to do that. We'll give you some more stuff that you won't be able to do either. Sorry about that, but you will get this. And it would just be so nice if they could just shoot down a bit of the fire, because we were having such a nice Wednesday, and then it then turned into an absolute catfest again, and really ruined my Thursday. So.
The whole VR and Space Legs thing is something I spoke about last December. No, December before that. Oh my god. And I kind of spoke about it because, again, we'd all kind of agreed that Space Legs was coming. And I said, there's a reason why you might not want it. And most of the comments on it, because one of the reasons was it won't work in VR. It is going to be exceptionally difficult to produce a positive experience in VR, so therefore you probably won't have it. And I kind of look at comments where who cares about people with VR? Well, the people with VR care about the people with VR
do, yeah.
Now I've got an HTC Vive. I play games in VR. Probably my game of choice that I play in VR most is Pavlov, which is a first-person shooter experience. I have to stand in my living room, and I spin around and I move around, and I have to flail my arms. Sometimes I've got to stab people with knives. It's in the game, and it is a very different experience to me sitting there playing Elite Dangerous. Not remotely the same, and I barely play Elite Dangerous in VR because I like to do other things at the same time. Now, that's not a comment on Elite Dangerous, it's a comment on my personality flaws of not being able to concentrate unless I have more than one thing that holds my attention. I can't do any one thing at a time. That's it. I'm currently fighting a pirate in an assassination mission whilst talking, so I've got to do more than one thing. I can't not. And I just couldn't see how it would work, and apparently neither could Frontier. And I think the concerns is that how would you transition from using a HOTAS, flying around in VR, to then having a first-person VR experience, either using a HOTAS or using a keyboard and mouse even, in VR? That'd be nauseating turning around. It wouldn't be a fun time. Even if you have the comfort vignette on, it doesn't work. It still makes you feel sick. So
that's what they're wrestling with.
I tried. There's a game called Adrift, which is one of the earliest VR games that came out. And the premise is space station's destroyed, you're now floating around the space station trying to get back to Earth. and even though you are like, you don't have a reference of what is up and what is down, and you are floating around, it wasn't actually that nauseating because you have that helmet on. You have that point of reference around you with a heads-up display, and you always have the edge of the helmet in your peripheral vision. So that wasn't really an issue for me at all, at least when I played it. So I know this is different from floating in space to walking, and that does have a tendency to cause slightly more nausea, but I don't think it would be that bad to go and try to implement VR for it. I mean, sure, there might be some people who don't have the stomach for it, but there'll also be a lot who does.
It's more of how would you transition from sat down flying a spaceship using your HOTAS to now you're in first person running in and shooting people? Kind of like, how would you transition from that smoothly whilst maintaining the gameplay experience? Because you could have a separate space shooter first person, could be fantastic, or you can have a fantastic space experience with a HOTAS or a space experience with a mouse, but you can't really have a great space experience standing up in the middle of your living room with Vive controllers. You can't.
Which brings me.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
That's kind of my point. That's it. I'm at the end just in case I've got something else that comes to mind. Don't worry, it's fine.
I want to take what you just said and go back and readdress my previous statement and sort of attack the idea that Wotherspoon put forth, where he said, if they do what I said, which is allow players the option to do all of the non-leggy bits out of VR, because if you're landing on a planet already, okay, let's say you're landing on, just pick a planet. Let's say you're landing on, for example, Mars, okay? It's a rocky, barren planet. It exists. It's there. We see it. We all see it on the map, whether you buy anything or not. Some people, right now, none of us are able to go there, but presumably well, actually, no, because they've made that, that's not, if you find a Mars-like planet, but not Mars, because in the game...
Well, it isn't the capital of the Federation.
Yeah. If you find a Mars-like planet in System X, we can all see it whether or not we've purchased anything. We see that it's there, but only some people can get it. I think to sort of attack the concept, because you said if you make it to where we can still do all of the non-leggy bits, if we can still land there whether we buy Odyssey or not, that's not a good sales idea. It's not going to push people to buy. I argue that that's incorrect, and here's why. I think that, number one, we just said there's maybe at most 5% of the population of the game is playing in VR anyways, so the vast majority of the players are still going to want it for exactly the reason, regardless of VR. And number two, for that small subgroup of players that are playing the game, that are, the hugely rabid fan base of VR players that are very pro-elite, I think that if you allow them to do the landy bits and the SRV bits and all that stuff still in VR, but then force them to log out of the game and swap modes over to the leggy bit, that's going to suck for them, true, but it's going to suck for them much, much less than them not being able to even do the landy bits and the SRV bits. So I think that if you give them that option, the way that I've said it, you're going to find that the vast majority of them that 5% are going to purchase anyways. Whereas if you don't give them that option and you force them to, they can't land, they can't do anything on an Odyssey planet at all without swapping to a mode that forces them to flat screen it, they're going to start looking around at other games. So you're going to lose out. I don't see that offering the landing and the SRV bits to everyone, including VR, regardless of purchase of Odyssey, is going to be a drawback. And to add to that, they're going to add some new level of engineers, of the hub thing, of the things, like the joint mission thing where you go to a spot and we sit around and you sign up for the raid and then we all get in. They're going to add other things that will force people, because, non-Horizon people that don't give a damn about maybe driving around in their SRVs, they hate SRVs, it makes them sick. A lot of them still bought it just because they wanted access to the engineers. I don't see it being a huge knock on their ability to sell the product of Odyssey by them allowing the VR players to still enjoy atmospheric landings and SRV driving in VR on Odyssey planets.
I totally agree with you that from a VR player's perspective, that's the best of both worlds, or at least the best you can expect reasonably at the moment. That it would be absolutely fabulous, and you know, I would personally be wearing my Oculus and landing on these planets and looking at the detail, which is so much better than what we've got at the moment in Horizon. Absolutely, I just don't know from a sort of business perspective if that makes sense. If they do what we were discussing earlier, and if they kind of roll up Horizons into an Odyssey purchase, but allow you to log into the Horizons bit after you've bought Odyssey and land on the Odyssey planets, that might conceivably work in VR. But then you do get the slightly awkward thing that you know your friends are all getting out and you can't because you're in VR.
Well, then you gotta transfer.
You got to make a choice. Yeah.
I think if you were to ask right now 100 VR players which would they prefer, I think 100 out of 100 would say they would rather do it that way.
Yeah, I'm one of them, and I definitely would. Don't know it's going to happen, but I'd love it if it did.
Quick question, which is pretty random. Sorry, is there anyone thinking of not buying Odyssey? Is there anyone who looks at it and went, "Oh, I'm not really interested in that"? Is there like anybody at all? And this goes to anyone's chat who's watching. I'm just interested if there is anybody, and because I think a lot of Elite Dangerous players, they're in this thing where I was like, well, I kind of have to have it now. I'm in that situation. I've got to have it. In the same way that every time, you know, there's a tasty looking paint job for the Corvette, and it's metallic, the hand drifts towards the pocket. I've got to have it, and I feel like it's a must. Like Odyssey, I haven't even at no point have I thought I won't get that or I won't get the next expansion anyway because I've got so much time in the game. I really enjoy it. Why wouldn't I? Like, why wouldn't I do it?
100% agree. I am. So, but I mean, I think everybody in this room, let's be honest, everybody in this room is the worst demographic to possibly ask that question to, because I can't imagine a single one of us going, like, if you say tomorrow, sight unseen, hey, over the next 2 years, Elite is going to drop 4 paid expansions. I don't even need to hear what they are. I say, shut up and take my money, and then we'll see what comes.
The only question along those lines I've been thinking is how many copies I want to buy, because I have 3 accounts.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, so should I buy it for all of them? Yeah, probably will.
I think the trick is for most players is you buy everything for character number 1, and then characters number 2, 3, and 4, you wait for that end of year sale or summer sale or whatever that comes next after. Alec, you had some hot off the presses, brand new information to bring to this subject. Would you like to expand?
Well, he's not here. He's had to sneak away, unfortunately.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Stupid Alec.
Stupid me for not Okay, so I'm gonna just read this out because he says I see no reason not to share it, so I'm gonna read this out. Stop the presses. Zach Gatanacci just PM'd me on my VR question. Can we fly ships under blue skies in VR, i.e., where's the cutoff? ? Hey, Alec, quick follow-up to your question. For now, it's too far out to confirm 100% where the split will be. We'll have more details closer to release. For now, best to assume all Odyssey content is not VR compatible. But we can share more when we get close to the launch. So there's that.
No atmospheric planets for VR players.
That would suck.
Well, you know what?
That's what that means.
I think if we everyone here and everyone listening to this and everyone who talks to and hears about this in the future sort of make our feelings known to Frontier to say, like, in the nicest, most supportive way possible, hey, we really would prefer you to do the other way, where you allow us the stuff that you already have the tech to do, i.e. sitting in our cockpit or sitting behind the wheel of our SRV, we can still do. We will gladly pay you the money for the leggy bits and the engineers and the social hubs. But please don't...
But on the other hand, we'd still like it in spring next year, please. So if it's going to push it out 6 months, perhaps you could add that on as a later feature.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. As a
Well,
non-VR player, I lose nothing either way. I'm just trying to be nice to the VR brethren.
Like surely, like the sensible solution that would suit everybody, including Frontier from a financial standpoint. Because to answer Plater's point from earlier about who isn't going to buy it, I've seen some in our stream, and also most of the VR players in our Discord have said, "I'm absolutely not buying Odyssey." End of. So surely the most sensible thing to do would be at the point where you push the button to get up out of your chair, whatever that is. At that point, if you're wearing a VR headset, it just goes to that option, and now you can't do it.
Or
if you're in a vehicle, you're good. If you if you're in sneakers, no good.
So how about the option that it just drops down to plain 2D in your headset at that point, so that it doesn't need to do any type of rendering?
Yeah. If that's a thing that I don't know enough on the subject, but if that's a thing that works, then okay, great. But the main thing is, please, don't artificially sort of limit the stuff. The things that you can already do in VR, that you already are doing in VR, don't limit access to that if it's at all feasible, is what I'm saying.
Can I just jump in with another point? It would just be, if anyone from Frontier is listening to this, please. It would be lovely to think that we could go and do that that scenario that you've painted, where we've got people in SRVs and people in ships and people on the ground, and our VR brethren are in the vehicles, are in the ships or on the ground, and people who aren't VR are in sneakers, are on flat panels. I can't. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on at Frontier, and I don't know the ins and outs of how the engine works, but surely that would be the best way to go. Just keep everybody together. And
if it's completely out of the question of having people walking around in VR, at the very least let people fly in atmospheres in VR. I agree with that.
With respect to all of the people, Burr, in your chat, and I've seen it in other places, other chats, other Discords, there are so many people that have already said, I am not buying this.
Yeah.
And that I don't mean to be disrespectful to their choice. Sure,
you don't believe them, do you?
But A, I don't believe them, and B, I'm glad that I don't believe them, because we know so little information right now that to say I am categorically not interested. If I tell you hey man, I've got a birthday present for you, it's not a car or a house, you might say well then I'm out, because I wanted something big or whatever. But you have zero information of what it is, and you have so little information of what it's not. If the answer of what it is a $10 million cashier's check, that's better than the other two things. So I know it's a stupid sort of analogy, but the fact of the matter is we know so little information that anyone that tells me off the bat, I am absolutely not buying this, without having any more information at all, I kind of call bullshit, because it's, excuse me, but you may find that when they do release more information in the not too distant future, that you find many reasons to reassess that decision, let's say.
Sure, yeah. I mean, what you're getting from those people is a bottled version of, I'm going to wait until the details are fully known, and if it doesn't do exactly what I need it to do, then there's no point in me buying it, I think is.
Yeah.
But whereas it wasn't on the table before, it is on the table now. That they might not buy it.
Yeah, and that's sad.
Can I ask a related question? Which is, fair enough, we have the guys who don't have VR, and they may or may not buy the product because of that. Does the fact that base building isn't in this release, does that really affect anybody? Is there anyone who's not going to buy it because there's no base building?
I heard that from someone, I think it was, I forgot where it was, but there was someone that said, man, on my stream, somebody said, base building is out, I'm out. And that to me was I was a fan of the entire, I was in my head, I was doing the thing that Plater was saying we're guilty of. I was so far down the road of neat things we could do with bases in my head. And the fact that they said, oh, base building, not right now, maybe later, but it's not even on the roadmap. I was just like, oh, so you're going to focus on atmospheric landings? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thing is that base building was never on the cards. Like, yeah, sure, we're going to refer back to the leak that happened, and then you could say, okay, that's cool. I mean, base building, I'm like, oh, I really don't want that. But what I did want was my fleet carrier. Now, seeing as whilst we're here, I'm going to do my little, me being a prophet of the future. Is I said for quite a while, has anyone thought that maybe fleet carriers are the base building? And it's kind of like, oh no, it'll be different. It'll be base building. It'll be different. It'll be base building. And this isn't you guys. This is aimed at. This is other people. And I'm like, I'm not convinced. And it looks to be like if you line things up, then maybe carriers are the bases that we were promised, because they are. They are essentially a mobile base of operations. And this is really just an over-exaggerated and elongated way of me saying that I was right.
You were.
So I'm sorry if I've done that. But yeah, I think that's me done on that. I just say it. But yeah, I just think this is the classic us looking more into things than actually we get, and hopefully we, in future, all of us, oh god, me included, so much. If we get any leaks or anything like that, we really do take it with a pinch of salt.
So let's jump past, because I think we spent sort of an inordinate amount of time on the VR thing. Let's jump past and try to get to some of these other things on the checklist. What sort of NPCs will there be? Anyone, hop in.
I'm thinking, well, obviously the ground troops are the obvious one, and I'm hoping and thinking SRVs and different versions of SRVs as well, at the very least.
Yeah. And we talked about it earlier. I still hope we're gonna be able to do some kind of crew we can assemble of NPCs. Maybe a little bit like the fighter things we have now, but if we're gonna have multiple, maybe with a slightly steep pay rate. But yeah.
Oh, and Thargoids.
Thargoid NPCs?
Ground, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you mean as combat? Okay, I thought you were like talking about a Thargoid mission giver. I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah,
Could be interesting.
No, I mean like actual.
No. As a cosmetic you can buy, so you have them as a pet. Like a whole Thargoid running after you.
Hey, no, that'll be the next level of the co-pilot. You'll have Thargy the Tharg, and he just hangs out with you in your cockpit.
I think we'll actually get to see Thargoids themselves, what they actually look like.
Oh yeah, I agree. For various leaky reasons. Re-entry. How will it work? I'm gonna jump on this one real quick, and then anybody hop in and correct me if you got a better way. But I think we already have sort of the heat mechanics that are tied to fuel scooping and dealing with suns and dealing with certain things like that. We already have the glide mechanic that deals with how you come into planets already, and you go through that whole process. I think you tack A onto B, you throw on some neat little graphics of as you're flying in on re-entry, some graphics of you see your shields light up and like there's like fire on the outside or whatever the hell, and then you call it good.
Yeah, I agree. I think take those two already existing elements and plenty of duct tape, and you're good to go. And then add some fancy graphics on top. And it would work, and it makes sense.
Anybody got a differing thought or something to add on that?
Not really. The mechanics that we've got at the moment actually sounds like you're going through an atmosphere. So I imagine it'll be very much the same.
All right. Yeah. So the next item on the list, getting in and out of your ship, how will it work? So everybody give us your bets. Are you betting you click on the little drop-down menu for get out of ship and your guy just suddenly appears on the elevator coming down, or are you thinking that we actually get up and walk around and go to the door?
I don't think we'll be walking around inside the ship, if I understand correctly.
No, I don't.
I know. I want that, but I don't think we'll get that.
I want it so bad.
I know. Yeah.
I do like the idea, though, that at least we can walk up and down the steps.
So you think you click like drop down menu, exit ship, and it puts you at the top of the steps or the ramp, and then you walk down?
Yeah, okay. That's what I think will probably happen. Yeah.
You certainly don't want a mechanical grab dropping you like it does the SRV.
I'm picturing Wotherspoon as what was that movie with the Woody and Buzz Lightyear? I'm picturing Wotherspoon as one of those little plushy toys in that waiting for the claw that he
Waiting
worked
for the claw. The Wotherspoon.
But has there been any official statements regarding the whole walk-in ships, walk-in stations kind of thing at all?
One statement that, I wouldn't say that it was official, but there was, what was that? There was a German, I think, magazine that they said something along the lines of, we talked about it on Guard Frequency last night, about that that there would be no walking around in the ships, but it wasn't confirmed. But then Stuart GT from the Elite Dangerous subreddit posted a thing saying that the site that said that are sort of notorious as being Star Citizen fanboys, and they think it might have been sort of misinformation to just rain on the parade. But no, it has been curious, though. At the very least, it's suspect that Frontier have been asked that question since that German magazine or whatever released what they did online, that they have been very silent on the subject.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I saw a post from a Frontier community manager in the Odyssey announcement forum thread that said it will just be on planets. You can't walk around your ship. And I saw it, and I'm sworn I saw it. It was in orange, so it was a dev post, and I saw it, and now it's gone.
I'm almost positive that I think I saw something that was from a forum moderator that said that, but I didn't see it from a dev. But if you're saying that it was there and then gone, maybe I just missed it.
But because I've heard that let's get rumor or whatever, but let's assume a post was made where it says no, you can't walk in ships, and they then deleted it. And then begs the question, why did they delete it? Was that because it was inaccurate?
Perhaps just not decided yet.
Or not.
Or just decided yet. That could mean that it's still up in the air.
Or that it was decided, but they didn't want us to know. Like, there's all sorts of... It might be like, yes, we know this, but we don't want to tell you yet until the furor over other things dies down a little.
Craven was saying many years ago that all the ship models had been built with the design that they'd be walked around in one day, though.
100%. 100%. But that doesn't mean... That may mean... that we're, they also said we'd be hunting dinosaurs from our spaceships. It may be that it's coming, but not yet. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that to be, a crappy comment. I just mean like it doesn't mean we're getting it today. I don't know.
Yes, agreed.
But I mean, I would even be happy with if Frontier came out and said, "Hey guys, listen, making this, like deciding all the interior of all the ships and all the stations is going to take a tremendous amount of work. For launch, you're getting these 5 ships and this type of station." And we're then progressively going to add the next later on over whatever, right? Something like that would be completely fine with me if they did that. And they said, okay, right now you can only walk in Sidewinder, Anaconda, select like 5 of something ships and one station. That would be completely fine.
Yeah, and then that would be a clear indicator to everyone else that it's like, okay, we're working on this and they will continue to come bit by bit. All right, so let's take the next 3 things on the post together and let's just hear everybody's thoughts. Number 1, weather. Number 2, will there be overhangs in caves or will it still just be a height map? And number 3, what worlds will we be allowed to land on? Atmospheric but not Earth-like, or water worlds? What gravity range? So let's talk about the terrain effects and the different types and the weather. Hop in.
Go.
Go on, mate. No, go on, Astro.
I think height map. I mean, that's what we have today. I don't think they're going to regenerate all the planets in the game so that they all of a sudden have caves and overhangs and stuff like that. So we're still gonna just see height maps. Weather effects, I hope, but I'm not so sure. It would be really cool if we could get rains or high winds that makes the ship more difficult. But again, we don't have anything that really affects the flight model like that other than jet cones. That's the only thing we have that really affects the flight model of the ship. So I'm not really sure how much weather we're going to see on the planets.
And everybody remembers that weird sort of fan-made thing
that Astro, your video on it just gave me pure joy of where you were flying around in like a thunderstorm and fog clouds and stuff over the water. Like, I think.
And you could hear the rain on the canopy. That was really good.
Yeah, you had the biggest smile on your face, man.
Just like flying around in a cloud and just coming out of the cloud and just seeing the sun above all the clouds. It was just like, I really hope we could get that in Elite.
I'm just sitting here thinking. I saw that video as well. I was just sitting there thinking, oh, that was absolutely fantastic. And like you say, the rain on the windshield and the lightning, and then going above the clouds and everything. That was fantastic. I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, we're not getting that. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
But that could be the end of the spectrum. That it could be 2 years down the line. But if they focus on that could be where we end, you know.
Yeah, if we're talking about just Odyssey, in January, February, March, or whenever it is, I think we're going to get very, very thin atmosphere worlds, and then thicker atmospheres and life and more life and things like that will get introduced in a similar fashion to the way the seasons were. I don't want to sound like a doubting Thomas or anything, but I'm just setting my expectations really low. Not that I think it's going to be rubbish at all. I don't. I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I'm wetting myself with excitement. Let's all be clear on that. I really, really am. There's literally a pool of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I'm so stupidly excited. But I'm just trying to set a reasonable expectation. Elite Dangerous has a much smaller development team and a much smaller budget than Star Citizen. It is not Star Citizen. So this is the start. I think Odyssey is the start. I think people set your expectations low, and if you're surprised, then yay.
Oh, thank God it's not Star Citizen. If so, we would get space legs and atmospheric landings in 2025.
So can I just ask then, bro? Because I'm really interested in that. Do you actually think that Odyssey will be the same as Horizons, where it actually gets released over a 2-year period, starting with the easy stuff and then gradually building up more features?
I think that I've obviously got no facts to base this on, Pete, whatsoever. So it's pure speculation. But I think that's probably what we're looking at. Yes, either that, or I don't know that they'll necessarily model it the same way as that. I'm wondering if perhaps we might get more paid expansions, but quicker.
Please.
So I think maybe in a year and a half, we might be talking about Odyssey for Elite Dangerous Vapors or something, where we've then got clouds and we've got a bit of weather and we've got we can land on a Venus-like world or something like that. That I'm wondering if we'll get that kind of thing. And I'm absolutely dandy and cool with that. Take my money right now. I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yes, please. I would so much prefer if instead of you get 2 years of whatever, I would prefer if we kind of had a set schedule of every year there's a paid content, and every year you get this and this, these bits, and it's added, and it's sort of more regimented. That would be great.
That was exactly what they tried to do to start with, but Horizons took a lot longer than expected, and then Beyond was needed to fill in some of the blanks. So it all kind of stopped. So perhaps we'll go back to that. That'd be great.
So there was a schedule. There was sort of a schedule of more frequent paid updates, was there, Pete?
Yeah, I think Horizons was only intended to last for a year.
Horizons was sold as a season pass, and the idea with Horizon was originally you buy the season pass, then you get all the updates that they are then scheduled for the next year, and then the plan was then there's a new season pass that would then have been Beyond. That would then take a year, and then like a year, and a year, and like that, right? But because Horizons just took so long to deliver all the things they had promised, it meant they spent 2 years before they got to that. And I think that's why they then for the Beyond update decided to say, okay, we're going to try a different model. We're going to make it free, and we're going to try to just make it in on all the microtransactions and ship kits and paint jobs and that kind of thing.
And I would be good. Go ahead.
I think if we see, I think they're going back to something similar to what they did with Horizon, but I think we're going to see a larger percentage of the content being released right at the start. I don't think we're going to see like 25% at the start, and then 4 big updates over the year, each with 25%. I think the majority of the content is going to be in the first one, and they might do small additions over the year.
Okay. So on these 3 points, weather, yes, I think we're absolutely going to get it. Not on Odyssey launch. I think it's going to be, that's the back end of the spectrum after you have full Earth-like worlds. Overhangs and blah blah blah, or height map, I think it's just going to be height map for now. Worlds will be allowed to land on atmospheric but not Earth-like, or water worlds. What gravity range? I am staking my bet right here that it's going to be rocky barren worlds, atmospheric rocky barren worlds, and ice planets, or atmospheric rocky barren worlds and scoopable gas giants. And then we're going to have to sort of start down the spectrum over the next year, 2 years, whatever.
What, to more sorts of worlds?
Yeah, I think, like I said, the types, I think you're talking about rocky barren, gas giants, ice planets, Earth-like worlds, water worlds, and then absolutely last, because it's going to be the most difficult to do, is Earth-like worlds, and then absolutely last after that would be weather effects, fauna, and megafauna.
Yeah, I see that Welsh Gamer 2012 has put a question in about Jurassic World. If it uses the same engine, which it does, presumably it's possible to have flora and fauna already. And yeah, I think that's right. But presumably the Elite Dangerous people want to do it right, because if they get it wrong, they're going to be stuck with it forever. So it may take them a little bit longer to bring it into the game.
Also, I would say in with that as well is that Jurassic World, everything that is already there when you log into a game or you start a game is handcrafted and there. They're very small play spaces and very quick to do, but an entire planet wouldn't be done like that. You'd have to procedurally generate, especially not just one planet, multiple planets and multiple systems and so on. You would have to have some element of procedural generation, and the weird stuff that could pop up with caves could be absolutely insane. So I don't think they would use quite the same thing and have that. They wouldn't necessarily put the overhang option in, because otherwise you end up with these weird waves of ground and things that look very strange. I just don't think that would be...
I think if they're doing caves, the way they will do it is the same way as outposts are generated, where I mean, when they put an outpost on the surface, it's not just the buildings that are modeled. The whole terrain around the outpost is part of that structure as well. And when they put it down, they just say, okay, that circle around where the outpost is, that part of the ground is now just erased, plop that down, and then they have some algorithm that smoothly fits it to around the edge of where the structure is. So if they're doing caves, I think what they'll do is they will have some handcrafted cave systems, and they could have multiple of them. Or maybe just have a handcrafted entrance to various handcrafted entrances to a cave system, and then have those be being generated below, or maybe just have a number of already pre-created cave systems.
And those could include even like some form of a stealthy installation or something that as part of that coding.
It could be a smuggler's den, something like that. So if they're doing something like that, I think it's going to be handcrafted caves. I don't think we're going to see procedurally generated cave systems, because of that would just be such a big update to to the Stellar Forge to make it do that. But again, they did say that they've done some cool new tech for us to explore, so I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Or, a combination, handcrafted caves that are like distinct and discrete and are set up, and then are procedurally generated, dropped onto places that the computer algorithm reads as like, okay, this terrain is suitable because it meets within these parameters, that I can drop this handcrafted thing in there without breaking stuff. And then, just like you said, sort of fudge it around the edges. Just if you go to the Cortez base of Buckyball and Elite Racers fame, there's actually a weird glitch where you can go under the base and you can drive around, and it's a weird crater that goes underneath it, and you can see sort of how they did it is they had like you said, they just plopped down the installation on the ground, but when they did it, it cut all the ground surrounding it, and then they just made this weird sort of like fudge it on the edges, and there's a spot where you can get under.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be very cool. Let's move to the next thing, because to me, honestly, this is one of the biggest announcements of the whole forum post that had me. This is one of the things that made me so happy. The return of Dev Diaries. Who wants to go first?
Yes.
Who wants to go first?
Please, yes.
Everybody.
Everybody goes first at the same
Everybody
time.
wants to go first on that. We've got people in our chat saying, yeah, absolutely. Yagashura is saying, as long as they're not just headlines, there's more substance to them. I think that speaks volumes about the way Frontier have handled their communication over the last few years as well.
New person. Have they done Dev Diaries before?
Yeah.
Yes. And they were so great. They were so great.
Were they good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there's high hopes for them being promising this time around.
The idea
nervousness.
The idea was that we actually knew what was going to happen because they were telling us, they were talking to us. It was to some degree a dialogue, but it was mainly sort of, look, this is what we're working on. Don't raise your hopes on this bit for the moment. We're working on this bit. We're hoping to get this out to you. This was all before the release of the initial version of the game and before the company floated.
I was going to say that level of communication stopped. Yeah.
Because now aren't they between a bit of a rock and a hard place with letting information go and tackling their public?
Yeah.
It's a concern because quite a lot of what they could be talking about might be insider information.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do need to be very careful.
So
how tedious is that?
Is good. Okay.
All right, but overall, people are really digging the idea of Dev Diaries. We have to question mark. We have to be hopeful, set our expectations, manage them. But hopefully that will be amazing. Let's look at. Okay, we kind of already discussed the whole how can we swap modes in VR. So let's skip that one. It's interesting if you look at why did the press kit include the 4 concept art pictures. You've got like a travel agency, you've got a bar scene, so like social, obviously some social gatherings. You've got, I don't understand exactly the idea of a travel agency, if that's good, if they're hinting at that's a thing that's coming where you can sort of just buy a ticket to somewhere and then fly a ship back. I don't know.
They are interiors. That's an important thing. This is the only time we've been shown that there are interiors that we might be able to play in.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else on that one before I'm sort of picking up the pace because I know we're pushing on time. No? Okay.
Nope.
Go ahead.
No, I just said no.
Oh, okay. With the confirmation that base building is not on the roadmap at this time, how does that change your perception of the idea of like stuff like the sales mechanic for fleet carriers? Because to me, I had thought that it was, player production was going to fill in that missing bit. But honestly, if you're removing that makes the whole sales mechanic I can't really excuse it now because it's like, if they really need to look at that. Otherwise, there's just no point, right?
Do you mean the player market on the?
No, I mean the idea of selling ships and modules from your fleet carrier.
Right.
This comes down to the reading into stuff thing. It was never on the cards.
Okay,
so
but I'm saying
you
if it was never on the
idea.
cards, then it's sort of inexcusable that it works the way that it does.
I don't think anyone's excusing it. I don't think anyone has been since the start. Everyone's saying, well, you should be able to do it full modularity, and I think that's what everyone has always wanted. And I don't think, like I say, production was never on the cards. It was never mentioned anywhere. It was could this be a first step towards it? Kind of speculation, but honestly, I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it will be a thing at the moment.
Strikes me as a bit of a chocolate teapot at the moment.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it remains the same as it was before with the perception towards the fleet carrier and selling stuff is that they should just give full modularity. Don't tell me that it's my fault if I'm not equipped properly and I go out there. That's on me. I don't need my handheld. That's it. Okay. That's like, that's me. Okay. That's my thoughts.
All right. So we basically have some things confirmed and not confirmed. Number 1, atmospheric landings. And then the question, is it though? I think it is. I don't think there's any way you can look at that as not being atmospheric landing, but they haven't explicitly stated it in words yet, so we're waiting to see on that.
Yep.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, has anybody got any thinking as why they haven't put that on? Why would you not? Why would you not say that if it's so strikingly obvious to everyone?
No weather. That's why. And people will be like, how can you have atmospheric landings with no weather? You listed it as a feature that it's got atmospheric landings. I think it's them not saying it directly because people will run with it like we always do and read too much into it. And we'll do that thing where we're like, cool, we're going to have thunderstorms, it's going to have hail, it's going to be amazing sandstorms. And it's like, actually, you're getting blue skies and you're getting dust effects. So it's an atmosphere, but you couldn't expect Frontiers to do a full planet's weather system over and over again, could you?
I think to answer your question, Ree, also I think it's more of a political, like a spokesperson who, when you're getting pestered with questions, there's things where like you just don't bring it up because if you answer the first question, then they're going to push for the next question in the line and the next one after that, and the next one after that. So I honestly think they will. They show like you can't see that and not see that it's an atmosphere, but they don't say anything because they're not at the point where they want to discuss that whole system mechanic and what does it mean and exactly which ones are in and which ones aren't and how long are we going to have to wait. That's stuff that they want to talk about later, so they didn't. Yeah.
That's right. If it's not there, I'm quitting. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So confirmed legs, obviously. Not confirmed, hinted at, hoped for, but not yet confirmed is anything else as far as like mining on foot or doing trade on foot or different types of industry. Just basically the only thing that you can really say is confirmed. And even that wasn't explicitly confirmed, but the fact that every 100% of the people you see walking around are carrying guns, that kind of hints strongly at pew pew. So,
unless that was really peculiar looking science equipment.
Well, we used to only science with guns, didn't we? We had no option, no scanners.
Yeah.
It's time to
I mean, Quentin, bring forth the telescope.
So
with a trigger.
What we've just stated is, guns and equipment with obvious upgrades like that for sure is going to be, it's different. They weren't all carrying standard phaser pistol. They all had different guns. They all had different kit. They all had, and that tells you, there's going to be, and plus what they posted, there's going to be upgrade options. There's going to be whatever, and then also there's going to be a whole variety of, get your livery here for my pew pew is purple, mine is yellow, mine jetpack shoots out, fart noises, whatever, and it costs X amount of arcs to get your thing to do whatever. What they didn't confirm at all in any way, and it's been conspicuous, is walking in stations or on ships. They did say social hubs, but they didn't define what those social hubs are. So those social hubs could be an entirely new thing. And it could be that we never are walking around in a Coriolis, or it could be that we are going to be walking around it and they just haven't told us about it yet.
Can I just leap in with a small point of accuracy that's got absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about?
Sure.
Commander Karen has just pointed out in our chat that the statement regarding base building was that base building is not on the roadmap. Not base building is not on the roadmap at this time. Quite an important distinction.
That's true. It's not on the roadmap, but I would counter that by saying that statement was made at this time. For all we know, it could be added to the roadmap a week from now or a year from now.
Well, I don't know that they said at this time.
They didn't.
Directly quoted those words at this time. I don't think that was used in regards to base building.
Fair point. All right, so we've got. Okay, what do you mean missions? When you say multi-arm? Yeah, missions, obviously.
So what I mean with missions is, well, pretty self-explanatory. When I say multi-arms combat, what I mean with that is, they have that sentence where they say that commanders, SRVs, and ships converge. So it seems like you're going to be able to do some kind of combat or some kind of content at least. Where you're going to be able to both have people playing on foot in SRVs and in ships, and actually maybe have some meaningful things to do in all those vehicles.
That makes way more sense. You're talking about an integrated assault. When literally, I was just looking at it like thinking, like, were you thinking there were just going to be one-armed men running around?
No, as soon as I know what he's talking about, but as soon as I read that, I just see a commander with 8 arms running around. It's like Octo Commander confirmed.
Grief.
Which I'm well up for, by the way.
You have to do missions for the Thargoids and then buy it with arcs that you get the multiple arms.
How many buttons on the keyboard would you need to press to work 8 arms all at the same time?
Many. And we've already addressed no base building that's in there, and we've already addressed the fact that it's unconfirmed that Plater is a genius. That's on the unconfirmed side of the.
Exactly.
It's whether I'm a double confirmed. It's unconfirmed if I am confirmed as a double genius. Or double confirmed. I don't know what that means. But as a genius, I'm going to say, yeah, it's confirmed.
Well, as we have already run over time, I definitely want to extend an opportunity for anyone that wants to jump in with a thought or something that they want to add to the discussion. But I'm also good with, if people want to sort of wrap it up or whatever. So this is just open talk. Anybody hop in with anything that you want to say on the subject.
The one thing I think we haven't yet covered is how finances are going to work, because we now have people who have fleet, or who will have fleet carriers next week, and who are multi-billionaires. And once you get down to the planetary level, you're talking about buying weapons that are going to cost a few thousand credits. Everybody's going to be multi-billionaires. Sort of, they're going to build.
They won't.
Yeah, well, there is that, but they're going to need to use something other than credits to control progression on the ground, because otherwise everyone's going to be maxed out straight away.
I submit to you that that's going to come in 2 forms. For the visual aspect, that's going to be arcs. If you want to have the cool looking gun that has the weird, yellow pulse strobe light on the side or whatever, that's going to be buy it with livery from arcs. If you talk about the actual gameplay aspect of it, I want a gun that shoots farther. I want a gun that does more damage. I want a gun that penetrates armor or whatever. That's going to be what the current resource is that rules the game, which is materials, engineering mats. And I think that's going to be, there will be a process set up that rules over that whole thing.
So will there be new engineering materials just for Odyssey? Okay. And new engineers?
Now again, yes. Now again, this is, as Plater has warned, this is all complete speculation because we have no direct confirmation of these as facts, but we have hints to it in the way that they worded their forum post with the announcement. We definitely have hints to that, so new sort of engineering game loops or new, and it might not be, there might be some people that are like, engineering, I hate it, that's the worst. You don't, maybe it's a whole new way of doing engineering that you will like or won't like, or any possible spectrum in between. But I think that, yes, I think that the credits, what kind of shoes you have, what kind of jetpack you have, what kind of gun you have, you're absolutely right. When we're buying and selling massive capital ships, we're all billionaires. That's entirely irrelevant to say, like, okay, well, this gun costs 200 credits and that one costs 4,000 credits. Who cares? That's irrelevant. But like I said, arcs and engineering mats will dictate the look and functionality of the weapons that you're able to have access to, I think.
I'm not sure they're going to add new engineering materials. They may, but I'm pretty sure they're going to add new engineers, at least, that are specialized in engineering guns and equipment.
Here's why I think maybe new engineering materials, because you want to incentivize people to do the new leggy bits. And I think that the engineering materials that they're going to add are going to be ones that require the leggy bits. They're going to require you to get, like, land on a planet and then drive around with your SRV to search the area, and then get out and use your little wristcom to locate within a 2-foot square area exactly where it is, and then some mini game where you try to extract the crystal out of a rock without breaking it.
And also looting the bodies of Plater's hapless victims as well.
They will all be crushed beneath my boot.
Wow.
Question. Just back on probably ship interiors. It's probably relative to. Why does everybody think that during the 24-hour live stream, Frontier put out that other screenshot.
Oh yes, the Mamba's
the-
engineering and
Or the inside of a ship section that we still haven't worked out what that is. Is there any sort of further thoughts on why they put that out and what that's actually going to turn into? Because there must be a reason they put that on the 24-hour live stream.
I don't know what picture you're talking about.
So there was
I can put it on our stream.
Yeah, there was a picture that they put on where it was the engineering section of a Mamba. So it was like you were seeing like a pulsing sort of it was a very Star Trek looking sort of pulsing engine thing.
Like an engine room.
Yeah, there were all kinds of extra bits and bobs and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of people were like, hey man, this really makes us feel like this is coming. They're being cheeky, they're giving a little hint. I'm I guess the wrong person to ask, because I'm of the group that believes that they're still going to say like, yes, you are going to be able to walk around in your ships. They just haven't said it yet. Again, some people will be like, why wouldn't they say it? Again, because you can't sort of start down the road of answering people's questions without now like then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. I think they're just not at the point of talking about it yet. But some people I think some people here think that we're not going to get walking in ships.
And they need something to talk about for the next half year.
Yes. Agreed.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if they just spilled everything now, first of all, I mean, we saw from the video pre-alpha, they are very early in the development stages of some of this stuff yet. So they don't want to spill everything if there is the slightest hint of chance that it's not going to make it into the game, because that's just not going to be received well by the community if you dangle a carrot in front of them and say, oh, by the way, yeah, you're not going to get that. So that's one reason. And then, yeah, again, I don't think you should underestimate the value of being able to trickle out information slowly to kind of keep the attention and yeah, hype train running. Hate that phrase, but yeah, you get my point.
Anybody else got a question they want to address? I think we pretty much hit most of the stuff.
I'm just really hoping Frontier don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's a standard. I think you could probably say that for everything they're going to release in the next decade.
It's just always that, like, I feel like whenever we get new details, the releases never go 100% smoothly. And then we're kind of left like, oh no, they've done it again. But at the same time, I hope they get it right, and I'm hoping there is also a beta where we get to try it and we can fix and point out anything they haven't come up with. Like, did you know when you press up against a wall and roll forward, you can just slip straight through it? Did you not know that? Well, why would you do that? You're like, because we're players and it's what we do. Just so they can find stuff like that. It's it'd be good that would happen, and we can help with that. So I do hope there's a beta. That's my main point, and it would be lovely.
I think if our experience has shown us anything, it's two things. One, you're absolutely right. If they put a beta in there, we will tell them certain things like, oh, by the way, we can use this wing bonus to just print our own money with fleet carriers, and that'll help them to close those loops before they hit and break things irreparably. But also, number two, if our experience as human beings tells us anything, it's going to be over the next several months. There's going to be multiple experiences like we had on Wednesday and Thursday, where they drop a bit of information on Wednesday and everyone says, this is the greatest thing of all time. This is 100% perfect. Nothing could possibly be wrong. And that we ride that roller coaster of emotion up. And then we get some facts dropped the very next day on Thursday, which then immediately, this is absolutely crap. I hate it. I'm not buying. I want to. And it's like people just subject themselves to that roller coaster in such a bizarre way where it's like, everyone, chill out, be cautiously optimistic, relax, wait and see what they actually say. And when you have all of the facts and they launch, then you're able to say, I'm buying this or I'm not buying this. Until then, all you're saying is, I don't have all the information and I want to rush to judgment.
All I would say, the caveat to that, I would say, is like Frontier, from our perspective, certainly. I'd be interested to know if you guys feel the same as well. That Frontier, of late, have got much better at communication. It's not the level we want it to be, but it has started to creep up. They're much more engaging. The community team that's in place now is very engaging. which is not something I'd seen
Agreed.
before.
Mm.
And I hope that going forward they're able to. You haven't got to give away all the details that you don't want to give away, but I hope they get better at managing expectations a little bit. But I'd really like to see that happen. It would get rid of a lot of the fire and the heartache that people get from it. And I don't know what the solution to that is, because obviously you're dealing with a publicly traded company, so I understand completely that that's not easy.
I mean, you can still give out information in a publicly traded company so long as you do it with an official disclaimer that has, they can let out information. They just have to do it in the right way. They can't release it to some people before others, or this, that, and the other. I mean, not without sort of embargoes and proper handling is all I mean. Okay. All right, guys. Well, any last thoughts by anybody before we wrap this up?
Hopes and dreams.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly. I think we could do a quick round if everybody had like one thing that could be something that has been not announced, or something that maybe even they had announced to say they wouldn't, that you would really like to see in Odyssey. Like, what would that be? Personally, mining. I want to have a 3,000 plus pickaxe, whatever that they look like, and run around and smash rocks to bits and sell them for profit.
Awesome.
Cool.
First, what's your hopes and dreams? We'll give you each of you, because Marini, I want to hear hers too.
Do you want me to go first? I personally, I would like to see Horizons players and Odyssey players flying together on low atmospheric worlds.
Lovely. Greeny?
For me, nothing that exciting. I just want to have more than. I don't like shooting. I don't like first camera. Yeah. I want there to be a lot more gameplay, that I can go around some interesting gameplay with scanners or things and filming and stuff that doesn't involve shooting a gun. I hope there's a lot more immersive gameplay that I can get involved in that doesn't.
I'd like to put my name on that one as well.
All right. Plater.
I just want to see information steadily delivered leading up to the release, a beta, and then a polished product being delivered.
Oh, you're
so I'm not asking for much.
You're being absolutely ridiculous. That's not possible. So. Witherspoon, your hopes and dreams.
What amazingly sensible choices you all have. I want more SOV types, and especially hover bikes. And I want to be able to go very fast on them.
Oh my god, I hope they do hover bikes so that we can go running to Uncle
playable
Water's
skimmers. Playable skimmers, guys.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm picturing Witherspoon as that same little minion character waiting for the hook, but now he's in a biker getup, and he's got a T-shirt that says "Bad to the Bone." All right, my hope and dream, and this is not stated and not whatever, but this is just hope and dream, and I'm not getting myself overly excited, just hoping. Since now it seems like Sony and Xbox have decided for the next platform that they're publicly and committing that they are open to crossplay. My hope and dream is that since Frontier had to do a significant refresh of the code base, they will drop into Odyssey. Oh, by the way, crossplay is now turned on. Enjoy.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
absolutely.
Also, my last wish, just very, very quickly, is please don't let it be delayed for 2 years like Fleet Carriers was. Could it please come out in spring 2021? Stop laughing!
And also, can we now all agree, just while we're all together, that the hover bikes are now called Wather bikes?
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, bad to the bone.
Clearly. All right, guys, Burr, Rini, Down to Earth Astronomy, Plater, Witherspoon, Chig, who was with us for earlier, and Alec Turner, and also Dunkelor, who's been helping out with posting stuff in the chat. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys had a good stream, and we look forward to more information coming on Odyssey. And next week, get your fleet carriers, do stuff, and see what happens. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Right, okay, guys. So I'm really hoping that you enjoyed that conversation and you found it interesting. and hopefully kind of got your thoughts going, and kind of saw where a few of us are coming from with different things, and yeah, temper your expectations, I think, is the usual piece of advice I give. Right, guys, I am going to be calling time for my stream now, though. Been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is longer than I was planning for. So, I'm going to say, make sure you hit the like button on YouTube if you haven't already, subscribe, and also follow on Twitch if you haven't already as well. You can also follow me on Twitter. I've got a Twitter. I tweet stuff. Some stuff. It's worth it. And, guys, I'm going to say once again, thank you very much for watching. Commander Plater, out.